Hello, how do? How are we all?
Hello, hello.
Hello, so everyone in chat, Stormtrooper, Vexmo, hello, hello. And Stormtrooper's there as well, that's convenient. How are you, good sir? Let's just check your audio.
I'm doing well. Check, check.
Excellent, excellent. People are going to have to excuse our insanity of an audio setup. This is the first time we've done an audio set with two of us in the shop and a co-presenter in the US. I got to point to the right US over there. So we're hearing James through a little speaker on the desktop, but hopefully NVIDIA sound should be filtering him out because it's all the magic. Hello, Drew. Hello, Haskar. Yeah, it's the crew in tonight. It's basically just JRDF private stream. I like it. I'm counting you, VMXer, in our sort of internal lot, so it's all good. Congratulations, honorary JRDF member today. So yeah, Rye, hello. Again, it's just this is great. Love it. So. We've got James with us this week because we want to try and get some more technical answers on some technical questions we had last on Wednesday. The two of us got very little done, yapping around in the shop. Yeah, so where did we get up to?
Can I just interrupt? Can we have a wee introduction for James? How does he fit into the...
Oh, well, okay, yeah. So
What's
James...
James's input into this Covalex unit?
James has made it be an electrical thing. He's done all the magic, all the pieing.
So if you
take
all the gubbins
around here, all the gubbins, Mr. Stormtrooper has made happen. So all of this pie stuff, all the programming, all the screen. Now I have a technical question about the stream, the screen, James, because I think we have a slight issue. I hope I haven't fucked it up with the builder's banding, but I'm sure it wasn't doing this before. this is live shit be happening on this, right? So let's get rid of.
I saw that on Wednesday actually.
Yeah, it's like it's only on half. It's like it's squished by half. It's really bizarre. Now, we could problem solve this by sticking it onto another monitor, but let's go out to that camera.
Let's
so
let's see what you did to my baby.
Power. I brought power. Oh. If you plug that in the socket by the door over there, so we're just on a separate ring. Oh, that one will be fine. That one on the wall's fine. Yeah. Excellent. Try and share the power out a little bit. Cool. Right. And yeah, so this was a bit of a yeah, apologies to people. This may end up being quite a technical stream chat. This might be hello mini flames. It's yeah, this might be a little bit of a technical chat stream today because it's sort of like we'll actually be talking to each other trying to solve shit here. So yeah, it's like it's not on the whole screen. I don't get that. I mean, it's not tight.
If you press on a couple of the different corners, like how does it feel? Like I see the flex. I think I saw.
Say that again, James.
Can you hear me okay? Yeah, if you press on the top right, top left, bottom left, what's the flex look like?
Oh, on the back.
Yeah, because that was the issue, right? Is that we're getting a lot of flex there?
No, it's the actual image. It used to go all the way up to the top.
Or is it?
It's like the whole thing. It's like the whole image is squished.
It's like an aspect ratio issue, is it?
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
Our top camera is now lost focus.
Can we take this back a wee bit just to see?
There we go. Yeah, it's really weird. Like I'm sure before it was like the whole screen.
Yeah. This could actually be something simple.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
I've got kind of a surrogate unit here on my desk that I'm playing with. So I found like kind of an old image that I made of the one that you have there. So I have kind of the initial interface. So I can play with that and see, maybe there was something to that.
Yeah, because I'm sure you used to be able to see the logo in that corner. I say it's just like it's just like it's all weirdly scratched. It still works and everything. So it's still happy when you. He says, yes, when you click on stuff.
Okay.
I wonder. I might just back off the screws on this in case I am upsetting the touchscreen or something ludicrous. Because that's the thing. I am effectively squashing the touchscreen against something.
I think it's going to be software related. Just
I'm inclined to
just a
think so
quick
as well.
inclination. Yeah.
You know, there's no light spots, there's no bleed
Yeah,
anywhere
but
on the screen.
I just worry that because this is a touchscreen, it's like seeing fingers when I've.
It's,
I mean,
it's against wood that'll be capacitive inductance.
Is there a
It'll
black
maybe...
banding bar on the bottom as well?
Say that again, please.
Is there a black banding bar on the bottom as well?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that looks about accurate then. It looks a little squished, but that does look accurate.
Oh, really?
Actually, there isn't a black. The
Well-
black band in eyes is smaller at the bottom than it is at the top.
Sir Gellian, thank you very much for the host, my friend. Thank you. 23 viewers, welcome. You see us trying to do technical issues with a Covalex unit. Yeah, no, I'm willing to be convinced on this, but I'm sure it was a taller image before. Sure it was. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. We will sort that out. That is a small issue. So let's put some air on this. And for all those people who have never seen this thing of beauty in action, before we take it all apart, which we're going to kind of do a bit today now, we shall put some air on it. So for all of those who've just joined us, this is a project that we didn't finish back in 2019. It was a CitizenCon project for the JRDF stand at the event. And what's going on with my camera today? It's like, I don't want to focus. There we go.
Right, that's not so happy.
So it was basically a project for our trade stand that never got finished because we ended up doing stuff for Semcor, Daymar Rally, Game Glass, and we ended up doing loads and loads and loads of other stands. So in the end, this sort of got put by the wayside. It did physically appear at the event with this just basically base coat color, but never got finished painted, never got all of its innards. Yes, never got any of that sort of that done. But so this is us finishing it off. With 2 years, it's been languishing. So as you can see here on this bottom left cam, we do have a fully working screener. So I think there's an aspect ratio issue, but we'll go with it. You press drop off, the little swirly thing goes. See, that should be round. That's not round. Anyway, I'm just whinging here. The door opens. So you put your box in, you do your mission, and in the bottom here is an RFID reader that we are currently fitting at the moment. So that's going to recognize an RFID in the crate itself, say that you've done your mission, all the rest of it, yada yada yada. All of the software backend does its thing, and then it closes the door. So it's getting there. The operation now kind of works, and this is currently all running on an air RAM system. That was what's up. Yeah, I've now got it down, so I know I know how long it's going to take, roughly. So what we're trying to address today is this. So I stuck a link in chat. I will stick it back in because I don't think anyone was in at the time. So this is a couple of images that Star Helix grabbed us for us last stream for his prize of 250 JRX. I think we might be doing that more often. We'll set you guys missions in the stream to get things that we need, and then we'll reward you with JRX. So if you click on that link, that takes you to some screenshots of what we're actually doing. So we're dealing with the interior of this because currently, forget it to open again. Currently, the inside of this doesn't have any of the detailing in. It's just plain. And that's kind of a shame because it's one of those things that obviously there's no back on it at the moment. The back is separate, and so we can sort of keep fiddling with. So this is completely plain on the inside, just undercoated. As I say, it's one of those things that got dropped off the list basically for time. So it's like, right, we now want to do it properly. So there's a surface on the bottom. Now it's closed. That's inconvenient. Right, let's jack this open. That's what we need to do first. Let's get this to open and stay open. That's what we need. Right. Okay. That will now stay open. Bunsen, how are you? Damn, this is looking good. Yeah, no, it's going there. So it's like but none of this interior is in. And as you can see from the images, it has floor detailing. It has sort of like, I think what it's supposed to look like is a trapdoor that drops. So that needs done. The sides have these recesses on. And there's a sort of lighting strip bar at the back. So all of that needs to go in it. So how we're going to attack that to start with is we need to make some holes in the sides of this. They don't need to be pretty holes, because what we're going to do, which I thought might be quite a nice project anyway, we will 3D model the bit with the recess, and then we'll 3D carve that on the CNC. So, and that'll just be a thing that'll just cover up the hole but go into the recess of the hole. So that needs to match on both sides. We've got a lot less depth to play with on that side. Let's spin this around. We could actually, yeah, we don't actually need power on this now. But
yeah, we can take that off.
Let's take that off, because that's just going to be in the way. As long as we've got air, it'll keep the door open.
Oh.
No. I think the ropes jumped off. Maybe.
No, we lost our air again.
No, I just wonder if the rope has jumped off one of its pulleys as well. It doesn't. What's going on with that?
Some duct tape here just to keep this happy.
No, it is on its thing. Right, so I don't know what I'm running over here. Probably my own hose at this rate. Okay, so we'll work from the back because it'll be a bit easier. So we've only got this thickness on the side. So this is made up of, by the looks, 12mm, 12mm, 18mm. So plan will be to cut a hole in this 18mm to go through. I'm not going to route a massive pocket by hand in this outer 12. So we'll go through the 18. That'll get us into this 12 cavity. So that'll give us a depth of 20. The thing that we stick on will be kind of 6mm plus its recess. So the recess can go in, if we leave with 6mm on the inside, a nice 20mm recess, which will look really cool.
It'll give us a look. And then I'm sure most people have a fair bit of OCD about them, so we'll try and aim for symmetry.
Yes, yeah. Well, it will be identically. The symmetry is easy because it'll be a CNC'd piece. Yes. That goes in. Our holes will also be symmetrical because we're going to do this right. So basically what we're going to do now is actually take out cut as big a hole as we dare, because we're just going to take weight out, which is great. So we're just going to come probably within 175mm of the edge, and probably up the top we'll go just as close as the router will go. I don't think there's any issues with taking too much out on this.
Now, for pure entertainment, are we going to buzz the router through the electronics?
No, we need to take all the electronics off first. Because that would make James cry. We don't want to make James cry, do we?
I was just thinking of the entertainment value of the viewers, though.
No.
Watch your router from this side.
Well, you can watch the ride from that side, just cutting through all the electronics.
Right, so taking off the electronics.
Yeah, take off the electronics. That can be the first job. Let's just get rid of this air hose.
Yeah, we don't need it at all.
Let's get rid of that. So that's cool. So James, talk us through, while we're taking apart all this electronics, how the RFID stuff works. Because I was basically trying to. I was trying to sort of sing the praises of the RFID system on Wednesday without really knowing how it works. And so, because you played around with it, didn't you? What kind of range did you get on these cards?
Yeah, so I'm trying to remember, and I was looking up some of the YouTube videos that I was sending back and forth for the testing. So I know that I was able to get about I want to say up to 3 inches or so read. And then that went down to about an inch or so, I think, once I put in, like I had some, like you can see behind me, I have some shelving, and I put some shelves in between the reader to kind of gauge how far and thick it would go through. So it's been a long time. I mean, you have to bear with me. It has been like 2 years. So I think we'll have
I know, right? It seems like only yesterday, though, doesn't it, James? When we were sweating our nuts off trying to get this to work.
I remember that. Yeah. So I'm looking at, actually, I found like my code repository and everything, and I've been going through the code there just to kind of evaluate it. So I'm still kind of getting a historical aspect for myself. I thought about just ordering another one of those units. You guys called it pretty well. It's just the name of it was a 522 reader, so it's a really inexpensive reader, but it worked really well, and the support that I needed.
Well, that's it. And this is the thing with event stuff. It's like we want to find the most robust but cheapest solution we can, because if this works for this one unit, well, then we can build 10 units. We can build other things with this same RFID technology in other projects. And, if we have a nice, simple, cheap solution, rather than chimple, which is a new word I've invented, that is better. Cheaper and simple is better when you're doing events, and you want something that's going to work for everything. So that's cool. Right.
So in terms of potential misalignment of the box, where are we, James?
I mean, 3 inches is a fair...
Yeah, that's 3 inches from any axis, so 6 inches in total, or 1.5 inches.
So here's the thing. What's going to happen is the reader's going to turn on as soon as the door is finished opening. So then it's going to start actively reading and scanning.
Yeah.
And that pulses, I want to say 30 times a second or something, very rapid. So it's going to get a read, and by the time it picks up a read, it will have identified something. So if you're in there and you're putting the box down, I mean, not to say that you've got to like swing the hips, but as you're putting the box down, like it's going to catch something, it's going to get a read. At some point. And at that point, what I'd like to do is flash the interior lights red or something that it's picked this up, that it's red. And then, you as the user is identified like, I'm going to pull my hands out now because the door is going to start closing.
Yeah. We should probably have something that warns people about that. But yeah, I like that. So, because we have the 2 LED bars on the front and the top doors, but we do also have this LED bar that we've not built yet that goes in the back. And it would be really cool, yeah, you're right, to actually do an RGB strip on that and let the Pi use that as an interface for... we could have it flashing red when the door's about to close, or and then it could start making a few mechanical sounds, and then the door shuts. So it's like, oh shit, I need to get my hands out of this. Just really visceral.
Potentially rewarding them with a green light when it's been red might be an option. And red lights to signify the door closing or something. Yeah,
we'll have to run on the psychology of what people are scared of.
Yeah, I mean, to me, red lights just mean you did something wrong and you're getting punished.
Excellent. No, sorry.
I do think there should be Yeah, a nice happy green light or a happy face or something. Something that lets you know the box has been adequately read, that your
Yeah.
mission's been finished before the door scares the bejesus out of you.
And we also need some sort of signal of remove your parcel immediately. It's the wrong parcel. And obviously the door isn't going to close. It's you are being told to get your inferior box out of my Covalex unit.
So what are you mucking about with there, John?
This is me just taking the pie out. So we built a bracket for it on the back, but I need to actually take the pie off to get it out. Which was probably a bad design, but I didn't think we'd be moving it. Well, I should never assume that, should I?
So, when these things come off, what's next?
Well, if you want to take that off...
I probably could.
Yeah.
Judicious use of builder's band.
Yeah. Here's a screwdriver.
Well, you're not doing it the old-fashioned way,
well,
are you?
I could do.
Oh my God.
It's two screws, man.
A peasant would do.
What,
Surrounded by all the power tools known to man. And 2 flat-bladed dumpy screwdrivers.
Yes.
Everything here's Posy or Phillips too, and there isn't a single cross-headed screwdriver.
That's a cross-head. We did have one.
Oh, dear me.
I can't get this. I can't get this little nut out. Which is going to cause me no ends of issues. Oh, there we go. Oh, this might be a problem here.
Are you trying hard enough? Is there any way somebody could accuse you of not trying hard enough here?
Oh, well, yeah. That's always a possibility, isn't it? I don't want to bend these pins out. I'm just going to have to bend it enough.
This is lovely shiny builder's band.
It's stainless, because I bought it for outside jobs.
No expense spared.
Nah, indeed. It really wasn't any more expensive.
I need to aspire towards greater things. I'm using scabby old galvanised builder's band.
Yeah. I think you need to aspire to sort of greater heights in life, that is a luxury item. I mean, that's...
Exactly.
You might need to set your sights a little higher, Jamie.
Exactly.
Let's be honest.
Is there any wire? We're just quite happy with the pie just dangling by his power wires.
Yeah, that's only the relays. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's not gonna.
Not be happening. We're whining about soldering them back together.
Well, I'll empty all the tech out of her in a minute, anyway.
So I'm curious. Does the NVIDIA hide the noise of drills?
People in chat will have to tell us. Can you hear the DeWalt drill there? Can you hear us over the top of it? We might be a bit echoey today because whenever we're close to each other with 2 headsets, it's going to get a bit silly.
I think we are quite impressed with the NVIDIA noise cancellation, though.
Oh, we are. There's no doubt there.
We could actually leave that hanging on its ear here.
Nah, pull it off, because if the router blade comes through and nicks it, it's going to blunt my router blade.
Fair enough.
I'm more worried about the router blade than the air.
Right, now we've got more weight hanging on.
Yeah, that's fine.
Here.
Yeah, we can.
See, power tools, that's where it's at. That's what separates us from the animals.
Right, we're planning to get all of this out of here. Otherwise, we're going to cover it in a yard of dust.
Yep.
You might have to read chat for us here, James. If there's any crucial questions, you'll have to shout them at us, because we are many leagues from chat.
No worries. The sound is okay so far. I mean, I think we're hearing the drill. I've got a copy of the stream up.
Cool.
Bob is talking a little bit about the RFID reader. I'm still a bit confused about the congestion there, but let's see.
Cool.
Oh, Jamie's sounding quiet for sure.
No, I say I am really impressed with this NVIDIA. I don't know whether it's better or worse on different cards, but certainly on this card it is amazing. Right, let's take the screen out.
Oh, we're taking the screen out.
Well, I don't. Yeah.
Oh, it's going to look so bald now.
Let's take the screen out. It's not going to do us any harm to take the screen out.
You can leave it in its...
Well, no, I had to... Oh, that's what I was also trying to do. Trying to do its little flip around. Lovely. Lovely jubbly. Yeah, let's not router through something that we don't need to router through.
The RFID reader, can you feed me the cable through?
I think we'll just unplug this and leave the cable in. And then that's cool. I think it's going to work too. I have faith in this. I really do. Right, okay, so what camera do we want to use for this? Let's do that one and have a close-up in the bottom left of this side as we cut it through. So what we're going to do is, I say, we want to cut as much. This is 18 mil. We do not need structurally this panel to be 18 mil. It's way over spec anyway. So we can cut out as much as we can out of it because we're then going to cover it over. So this is just about trying to pull as much weight out of it as possible, really. So what we do want to try and set ourselves up with is a nice easy jig for doing this. So first of all, we need the right router bit.
What is the right router bit?
We just want a straight flute, small router bit for this. We're not trying to do anything magical. We're just trying to cut straight through and make a hole. The one I had.
So how would they have done this 100 years ago when they didn't have routers?
They would have whittled it with a chisel.
Wouldn't they just?
Yeah, they wouldn't have had birch ply though. So that's the thing. I mean,
they had pies 100 years ago.
No, birch ply.
Oh, ply.
Yeah, they wouldn't have had plywood. So, I mean, dealing with plywood, especially like engineered birch, is so different to dealing with like actual timber that has grains in it. You can actually chisel and whittle real wood. It's very hard to do it with plywood because it's engineered not to be able to do it. Because it's trying to be strong in every direction simultaneously, so there's no grain to run with.
Well, when did we start using plywood then?
Oh, fuck knows. You're older than me. You'd remember, surely.
Is it such a modern engineering marvel?
I think plywood's been... Right, someone in chat, Google me how old plywood, history of plywood, please, yeah. James.
I'm not sure it wasn't around 100 years ago.
Oh, yeah. I'd say it'd be 100 years, definitely. The technology of layering thin layers of wood to make sheets...
Beams, they've been around forever.
So, JR, let's just recap. What's your preference for power tools? Let's say brand or
that is. We are both. I would say we're both DeWalt men.
Unashamedly DeWalt.
Yeah, unashamedly. Between the two of us, we've probably got £3,000 at least, if not more, of DeWalt tools between us.
Yeah, so it's a little bit sad.
Yeah, I will lower myself to Makita occasionally. I have a Makita air nailer up there because like the DeWalt one didn't come in that size, wasn't available, needed an air nailer. But yeah, it has to be a bad day if I don't buy. But he's been after a DeWalt drill, specific model, for over a year now.
It is true, yes. I'm coveting a DeWalt drill, made in America, sold in America. I ordered it last year in October and only got it about 3 months ago. Yeah, it's a bit sad. A DCD 999 if anyone's interested in Googling it.
If anyone's sad enough to be like, DeWalt nerd.
Do you want to put a clamp on there?
Alright, do we have a mission for...
Oh, no, I am. I just want to see whether this bit of wood was long enough, and it is absolutely spot on. Sorry, say that again, James?
What was the plywood mission you just set us out on?
The plywood mission, when was plywood invented? Like, what sort of time period are we talking here?
Ooh.
Or are
Why
you going
not
to help me
wild?
here?
As early as 2600 BC in ancient Egypt, but not until the
2600
1850s
BC. The
started
Egyptians
see,
invented plywood. That's
Th-
fantastic.
That's exactly what I thought. There's no way plywood was a modern invention. I just wasn't having it. Thank you for confirming that to me.
Dear.
So the question still stands: what would you use 100 years ago for DeWalt?
Fine. Didn't the Egyptians make DeWalt? I'm sure that was.
They would have had something, didn't they?
Right. We don't want to get too close to the track on this side. Just want to do.
Actually,
Clamping this is going to be fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it's...
What's going to happen if we actually
Why
just
not
use the
use
rotor?
this?
Because we're going to hit the track. So we're going to need something. Would it be the worst thing in the world if we just dodd a screw in this for the time being? I don't think the world would end if we did.
The world definitely wouldn't end if you used a screw there.
Yeah, okay, I shall use a screw.
Maybe even 2 screws, eh?
Yeah.
To avoid embarrassment.
Fuck yeah, that'll be. Let's push the boat out. Let's use 2 screws. Bloody hell.
So there's what the straight flute looks like.
And straight flutes are pretty. Do I care? I can send it.
I'd use them in the pipe band up at Lark Hall. What were you saying about straight flutes?
Yeah, I mean straight flutes are your sort of very, very rock bottom standard, your basic. Right, okay, so if we put this on this side, we'll see it breaking through, which will be almost like exciting telly. Now, I will say you're going to have to communicate. Oh, wait a minute, let's just have a quick look at chat. Why not wild? Oh, hello, why not wild? That would be the little one. 2600 BC in ancient Egypt. But not until the 1850s, plywood started to be used on an industrial scale. Leela says she really hopes you weren't around at the beginning of ply. He was around in the 1850s, so, that's...
Well, we already were talking about the 1850s earlier. Before we came on stream,
Yeah.
I was bemoaning how difficult the audio was to set up. After going on about Brunel being able to establish audio across the pond in the 1850s.
And what you got to remember is that Jamie lives in the 1850s. It's just called camps. It's he lives in the days before internet. They've only just got rid of steam engines up there. Right, so you're going to have to now communicate with James only in chat because we ain't going to be able to hear him on the speaker and we ain't going to be hearing anything over this router. So we're going to now route a massive hole out of this unit and hopefully not die in the process. So enjoy. I'm actually going to even mute my mic while we do this because it's just going to be in my way.
Awesome. All right. Let's see. Anybody have any technical questions? I mean, not that I'm super technical, but I mean, let's see. Does anybody have any questions about the stream, the unit, the technology behind what we're doing?
Yeah, I really can't do that without headset on. It's too fucking loud.
No questions, huh? Well, how is everybody doing today? Let's post that in chat. I'd like to know. I want to know. Coffee. Oh my God, I would love some coffee. Coffee sounds amazing.
The other side,
Nougatine, how are you?
Well, when we're going to breach through, when are we going through? When are you doing the big plunge? Now?
Well, no, I'll have to go.
So how
like
deep?
6 mil stages.
Why?
This is not a. This'll take a while.
Why the puny 6 mil stages? Did you buy too small a router?
Well, this is a finishing router, so
Yes.
if I had a big half-inch one, then
Yes.
I could probably do it in 2 goes. But
Just because people be
I'll let them go
wondering.
on in the background. So Mini Flames, good question actually. Sometimes I get a brief of, hey, I need X, Y, and Z. And so, for example, sometimes I need him to explain it to me a little bit more in detail. And so, um, there's an example where we were creating trophies for the Daymar Rally, and we needed to position some winners um, in such a way in 3D, so that way we had these models that we could set up. So I'm asking him how to position these assets the way that he wants, and sometimes I have to tell him to get simple with me. So I told him to draw me a stick figure, and sometimes it's just as simple as that. He'll send me a stick figure, and then I'll just kind of put something together and figure it out on my own there. In regards to this, sometimes he'll say, "Hey, it would be nice if blah blah blah," and then I'll just kind of take my level of passion and just add on to that. So, like the whole RFID reader thing, that wasn't really necessarily part of it. The original scope was just, "Hey, I think let's open the door and let's close the door and go from there." And I think I took that a bit further because I initially started putting together the mini game for the events. I initially started putting together like the RFID reader to be able to read packages that were sensed on and off because I wanted to give it the fidelity of what the game has for right now. I even went down to the level of timing for the door being open, detecting packages, how it reacts to the packages, etc. And so I set up all the animations. So I did kind of go like 200% with it. So I wouldn't say because I'm bored. I'd say just because I'm passionate. I just kind of I get excited about this stuff. So would I do anything differently? I don't think that I would. I've learned a little bit more about how I put this together. But I'm extremely happy with how it is set up right now. Going back through some of my old code, I'm actually kind of impressed how simple it is. So I don't think I would change anything. I would probably
Right,
just
we're going to be
improve
through
on
this time.
what's there.
No.
this will be 15 mil.
Oh dear.
If
The
anything, I would probably add
suspense.
more to it. uh, yeah, the open and close button. I think that's something that we could easily add too. So that's a good point. I'll have to add that in. I don't think I would change anything. So the cabinet itself doesn't have audio, not just yet. The screen that's there has an audio out, as well as the Raspberry Pi. I believe we have audio out on directly, so we can make use of either of those to just provide a little bit of extra audio. And I think I remember JR saying a little bit back, either last stream or the stream before that, that he wants to have like the sound of gears churning, etc., to kind of provide some feedback. Like the bicycle cards and your wheel spokes. So I think, yeah, that would definitely be cool, and to ramp up the audio because the audio is the stuff that's exactly from the game. And at that time, we didn't have any really good technology to extract the game audio. So what I ended up doing was kind of
So exciting.
recording the speaker and then cleaning up the audio after the fact. So that was a lot of fun. I'm actually happier with the audio that I have than what I would get from the game audio now. So I'm going to end up keeping that work. So fortunately, many flames. That's a good question. I did get to see this thing finally, which was pretty cool. When we went to CitizenCon, I think JR's mentioned a few times, we ended up spending more time on the booths that were there for show, as opposed to JR's booth directly. And this was one of the feature units, so it just kind of sat off to the back. I think at the very end of the show, we ended up kind of putting it together because we had all the stuff there, and it was like, well, let's plug this in and see what it looks like. So didn't get to see the air ram work and the door
Ah, you're
automatically
through it.
open. So that was actually one of the most beautiful things was last week getting to see that for the
I'll
first time.
catch top of it when you cut. If you leave a wee bit
That,
there,
that
I'll
was great,
catch it.
actually. That I think the culmination, I have pretty much seen the fruits, but I'm excited to see kind of what we come up with now because right, we still want to think about as a collective how can we put together a mini game that will be exciting and fun, during events because obviously this thing's going to be brought around, um, and it's going to be a fun unit. So we want to come up with the mini game. How can we clean up some of the um, technology, make that for the better. I know that there was some question about like how to detect the package, and we could use, like weight or QR code and stuff like that. And so
Right.
what we'll end up doing
Yep.
is we'll put it together with the stuff that we have now. We'll run with the RFID, and I think that's going to be just fine. But if we need to, we'll take a look at how we improve on that. So we'll take that stuff kind of one step at a time. But I think for now, like it's pretty exciting. We've got a good baseline. I see you guys are done screwing around. How did that come out?
Screwing around, are they? So yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So we've now got a knock through. It's I mean that's not an
Ooh.
inconsiderable amount of lump of wood we've just taken out of that. So that's cool. So I'll unscrew this, and then we get to do it all again, guys. This is top interneting.
It's just internet fodder, this, isn't it?
I think this is 18 on this side as well, unfortunately. Sorry, guys. Right, I'll put this on this side again. Yeah, so that was all right. Jamie's not wrong. I should probably have a half-inch router to do this. I think I've never bought a half-inch router just because I've got the CNC, so it's like I use this for like as a proper finishing router, just doing tiny bits here and there. I very rarely do a lot of cutting with it because I've got a CNC.
Yeah, I don't think you take the short attention span, the current generation into account, really.
Fuck off, you have a far shorter attention span than the current generation. You have your attention span of a gnat. I mean, it's just
It's true, I have been
bullshit.
accused of such, yes.
You are the most impatient human being I've ever met in my life.
How much quicker would a half-inch router have been? Uninitiated.
Twice as fast, because I would have got a bigger bit in it, and it's got more horsepower.
Yes.
Yeah. What else could we do in the game? What else would we like to see? JR, I don't know if you're up and on.
Yes, no, I am. So I was thinking, watching the latest Inside Star Citizen, the thing that came up that we could definitely do as an in-game sort of like gamification is hacking. I would really like to make the hacking chips as actual merch, as like keyring, like hacking key rings. But I think actually having a gamification thing where there are hackable panels all around the event, and you can get the keys and actually hack like little like hidden panels and stuff. You find them, you hack them, and that opens other bits of the event up and like creates like drug mission. I think the hacking game loop as well as the cargo box game loop would be really good at events. I think it would work really well.
That's a great point. I'll defer to that. So, I mean, the question for me, if there's anything else in game that I'd look at and say I'd want to make that, well, almost everything, like anything that I see in game, I want in real life, right?
Oh God, yeah.
But to that extent, there's kind of this fallback where whether or not it makes sense, whether or not it makes sense to go forth and actually make something like that, whether it's way above my technical acumen or where it's going to be too heavy of something to even build responsibly or what have you. So
responsibly.
there's always that fallback of can we actually do it? I mean, is it worth doing?
Yeah, and I'm not saying this because this isn't official yet because I don't want to jinx it. But we hopefully tomorrow are confirming that we are taking on our first big workshop. So we're finally moving out of this place, which is, not kidding, my garage. So we'll just do the camera to give you an idea of how this is a garage door. That is a huge pallet of foam for the kit packing. But this is it. This is it, guys. This is the entire workshop that JRDF has been building all the shit in. Photos you see of other bigger workshops are places that we've hired for like 200 quid a day to build stuff. We have the CNC obviously sits over there, so that's where we do all the cutting. But this is a small shop. This is a 2.7 meter ceiling double garage.
Now, come on now. When we've done the bigger events, we do take over the house.
Well, yes, we do take over the house. The Dragonfly was built in our kitchen with no kitchen furniture in it because this house isn't finished yet. The Kraken was built in our dining room. Our dining table got taken out and we built the Kraken in there. So, it smelt of wood fillet in our house for 3 months. It was horrendous.
When's the last time a car was parked in here?
The car's never been parked in here.
Never,
not once.
Can you rightfully call it a garage?
But there is. Callie's car is going to live in here.
It's going to be. Do you think intent is enough to actually name a building, though?
Intent, yeah. Well, it's got a garage door, so does that count as a garage?
It's a roller door.
It's a roller door, that's true. But yeah, so we've been looking for a workshop for about 4 years now, and we have finally, one has come up in the next village. It is walkable from here. It is...
That's debatable.
Well, Jamie doesn't like. Jamie would go really well in America because his acceptable walking distance is around his own house and to his car. That is the acceptable walking distance. I, however, will be quite happy to walk to Elvenfoot. It's only 2 miles away, and it's 3,500 square foot. Is that how meters weigh? It's 348.
Tell them in meters and then freedom units afterwards.
Yeah, it's 18 and a half meters by 18 and a half meters, which is what 340 odd square meters, which I always think goes to about that in thousands a foot. I don't know. I don't know freedom units.
Yeah, we need to practice them.
Need to practice freedom units, but it's yeah. Yes, our carpet has literally never got. We're going to have to replace the carpet because of all the filler dust we got in it that is now hardened off. So it's very exciting, and it's 4.5 meters high.
Yes.
At the walls, going up to 6.5 meters high in the middle. So it's a proper space. It's a proper, actual, factual workshop.
Insulated, concrete
floor. It is fully insulated, fully concrete floored.
Heated.
Yes, heated, big oil heaters.
Spray booth.
Yeah, so it comes with an automotive spray. So it's currently an automotive shop, and it comes with a spray booth that you can put a minibus in. We're buying the spray booth is the plan, and we're going to tear it apart and move it because it's currently... there's a big roller door and it's sort of inside that. So it means that we can't actually back a truck inside it's because the spray booth's in the way. And I really want to be able to get a full HGV inside it because it fits. So we've bought that so we can tear it apart and we're going to move it over to the opposite corner. So it's because we're not spraying vehicles, so we don't need to be able to drive stuff into it. So it's fine. It's just going to be furniture. So yes, it's very exciting. So now that we've got all of this camera work set up down here, we're now going to fuck off and move in a couple of months' time. But we will obviously be documenting our move. There is ludicrously fast 4G down there. So it's cool. So we're going to be streaming from a whole new shop soon, and it'll be very bare and basic to start with. It'll just be a massive empty space with a CNC machine and a spray booth and
in the corner.
Yeah, looking really sorry for itself at this colossal empty space, but it's going to be brilliant. I can't wait. What we are going to do is we have shipping containers full of furniture from old events and stuff. So we will be actually bringing all the CRG furniture all into one space, repainting quite a lot of it, and either if CRG if they don't want it anymore, then we might sell it on. But if nothing else, we will just get everything we've ever built and put it all in a line, because I've never seen it all like literally just sat in a line. It'll be quite interesting. And then Yes, and the Dalek. Yes, so I promised Leader. I was telling this to Jamie. Jamie agrees. I really want a Roomba, like the robotic vacuum cleaners, that's a full-size Dalek with a shop vac inside it, like a proper big dust bag, one of these things.
Do
Obviously,
Americans know what a Dalek is?
yeah, they've got the people in here know what Doctor Who things are. So down here, a dust bag. So that's my dust extract for the CNC. So it'll be a single. I want to have a single dust bag shop vac that just that drives itself around the workshop, hoovering the floor as a Dalek. It's just like that would be amazing. And
It will be amazing.
It would be amazing,
yes.
and they're perfect for it because they've kind of got the grills down the side, and that's where the air comes out from. Obviously, it's like a bag inside. The Dalek is just a massive dust bag.
Are you going to program it to be scared of stairs?
Well, there's no stairs in the.
I know,
Dalek.
we should really build some just for it.
I see. Now Jamie's showing his age because he's not seen the more recent Doctor Who's where they fly.
Daleks don't fly.
Yes, they do.
All right, on that.
See, 1850. They didn't fly in 1850. That's the problem.
All right, on that bombshell, should we start dropping the side out of this?
Now I've
quickly change the subject.
Jamie hasn't had television in 35 years. Leave him alone. Right, let's cut the arse out of this.
Daleks fly. That's just wrong.
So when they did the remake of Doctor Who, they had this great moment where a Dalek gets to a bottom of a set of stairs. And then just as a kind of hat tip to the whole Daleks can't get upstairs, it just sort of looks at it and then engages these retro thrusters and just flies up the stairs. Which I thought I would fucking laugh my ass off when it did that. I like that tongue-in-cheek humour. Right, I'm getting off comms again.
How many cuts is it going to take to go through this now? So you're doing what, 3 mil at a time? We're not even burning the wood, look.
That's the interesting thing. It's not burning the wood, it'll burn bits. These aren't high bits.
Oh, are they not?
No, these are cheapies.
Oh. Here's me thinking you would have had the good bits in there.
I do want to see it see.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But the poor router's not.
Myself to some carbide bits for this, because then you could do a lot faster. But it's the bit that'll burn.
How many of our viewers would just love to watch burning a bit out? We're not even smelling it.
No. The problem is the reason that birch ply burns is because it's glass fiber glue.
I see.
So
it's very abrasive then and hard. Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know if I'm allowed to post videos in chat here. I'm pretty sure I can get away with that. So I just posted a video that you'll see. I know one of my development throwbacks. This was kind of how I would show for some of the visible status of where I was getting when I started putting this together. So this was a video where I'd recorded in-game the Covalex unit where I was actually timing the animation drop in and drop out of the arrows, so you can see I'm literally working on getting this timing together. So I thought this was a pretty fun video. Like I said, just a neat little behind the scenes of like this stuff coming together.
Right, where are we? Just lurking in, looking good. Yeah. And a whole.
See if Jamie can see that thumbs up.
Oh, what's this? But Mercury, no he knows. The 50 times.
You know, as far as the attention to detail goes, they spend enough time working on the fidelity because it's just about the experience, right? So if I'm going to flatter them by admiration, it's up to me to do the same. So that's how I feel about that. I have respect for the level of fidelity. Just watching JR here cut this thing out. Kind of interesting. like a machine, like Terminator precision, dedication. Yeah. So I guess the question is, can you guys hear me okay while John's running that thing there? I can kind of hear myself on the stream here. I've got a little tablet I'm watching stream on. Also, super weird to see yourself in delay. Oh, awesome. Good to hear. Thanks, VMX.
That should be grand. Yeah, there's no
Ooh.
rubber on the outside of it. When do I want to take the weight of that? This is going to come off first, isn't it? Or is it bonded to the outside one?
It shouldn't be.
So it'll...
Yeah, it should just fall.
as long as you cut it at the top then. You know, your last cut's at the top then, it's not going to land on the outer bit.
All right. So while they're still doing that, let me ask you guys a question. If there was something in game that you guys saw, what would you like to see as a physical asset? What do you think? Oh, JRDF should do something like that. I want to hear what you guys think. Okay, yeah, the ASOP terminals. I gotcha. Let's see. Let's pull one of these up here. Chip terminal.
Hey. Is this going through now?
Just pulling up.
I should do the bottom first and then I'll just take the weight.
Pulling up my crude screen sharing. You'll have to see on my monitor behind here. All right, so would it be a whole stand-up unit? Like straight up kiosk? Oh, a full-on cockpit. So Mini Flames, I think I found which one you're talking about. I'll just post in chat here. Let me know if that's the right one. That'll be interesting. A full-on cockpit, that would be awesome. So if I remember correctly, the RTF actually did put together a cockpit-like setup for Moist Noodle.
There we go.
Very Covenant sawdust now. Right, okay.
Yeah.
So,
Hey,
hello.
quick question before you go off there. Didn't you guys put together a full-on cockpit for Moist Noodle?
Not a full-on cockpit. No, we were. I think that was sort of in the works at some point. We would love to do a cockpit. Several people have asked about it, like asked if we would build one for them. We do get quite a lot of sort of requests for, oh, can you like build me a whole room and all this sort of stuff. And the two obvious things come into play: the cost of these sort of things, and the logistics of this sort of thing. If it was someone in the UK, then we would think seriously about it. If it was someone in the US, or sorry, actually UK or Europe, absolutely fine. US is now less of an issue because at least we do have more of like people like James and Westbrook and stuff over there, so that we have somewhere to send stuff ahead of time, so we can kind of do a bit of more of a logisticy type thing. But for a one-off room size build, say we would like turn this room into something, you're not getting change out of 60 or 70,000 pounds. That's a 3-4 month project for our entire company. Wow. So it's like that. Unfortunately, it's like, yeah. I'm
still waiting on the funding for a vehicle project.
Yeah, no, that's it, and it's like, there's the thing of realistically how, it's how much these things actually cost to build, to design, to do out, and I think people find it a bit eye-watering, which is why companies like us tend to build things for huge companies rather than individuals. And it's the same as when people ask us for a shipped model we haven't done yet, and it's like, oh yeah, but we'll pay for we'll pay for all the development and stuff. It's like, yeah, that's going to run into 5 figures. That's the thing. We spread that cost out over 500 models to make it more affordable. But if you're paying for the development of these things, it's proper money. So yeah, well, that's why we've done the kit models the way we have. Yeah.
So with that cost,
how long does it get response to? Oh, help. Yes, apologies. Yeah, no. Well, I'll get Cal to check on that. This week has been a bit. Last 2 weeks, 3 weeks have been a bit crazy. Yeah, so we've been looking around at talking to bankers and things like that to try and get these sort of things sorted. So apologies if we've been a bit lax on emails. That is our bad. This is the other thing. This company is basically me and Cal's, and then amazing people who help us like James and Jamie here, and Westbrook Drew and Rye and Stephen the Geek and Brett, and all these people come and help us out with stuff. But at the core of it, there's only 2 of us numpties doing this. So it's apologies when we're a bit tardy. Right. Okay. So that's those 2 cutouts done. So that's absolutely fine. We can measure that out and then work out exactly what we want to sit into it. As we suspected, this was 18, running on to 12, so don't want to go into that. It's also going to be quite difficult to have this shaped bit form in and actually use this as a surface. The reason for that is 2 good reasons why we won't be doing that and why there'll be a new piece of wood being glued onto this. It's very difficult to sand and filler this bit in place to join those 2 together because it'll be on a very sort of harsh angle. And also I'd like to paint these bits that we're setting in separately, because painting inside a box is really difficult because of overspray. When you try and spray something into a box, the air pressure from your sprayer blows out the box, so you get it's horrendous. So the great advantage of having these 2 side panels and this bottom panel as separate pieces, we can paint them outside this box and then fit them. And then we can, I don't think we'll be doing them in a way we can take them back out. They're probably going to be glued in. So if we want to respray them later, we're going to have to do them in place, but hopefully they won't need a respray because it's just black. And I think no matter what the color scheme on the outside of the box is, I don't think it'll affect this inside color scheme. So we'll be able to paint the outside a different color if we want to at some point without having to do that. So that's cool. So that's that.
Should we fling the box in the hole just to let people see what it looks like?
Yeah, let's take the camera around and sort of. So I mean, that's a kind of idea of what the what the box looks like in the case. It is the right size. You do get your hands either side. This is the biggest box you can put in a Covalex unit. This is a 500 mils cubed box. There are smaller ones that go in on missions and things. Not all boxes are the same size anymore.
Because and they're not all as maligned as this box. It's a perfectly fine box that John hates.
Oh, yeah.
It's a thing of beauty and wonderment.
Well, I'll tell you what. You and James entertain people. I will go and get the proper version.
All right.
Did you hear that, Jamie? It's up to us.
Oh, it's up to us. How are we going to manage? I think we'll just manage.
I think let's get started with your accent, because that's a good start.
My accent? All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's very local to the area. I was born about 12 miles away. I was born at one reservoir and moved to another reservoir about 40 years ago, and that's probably exactly where my accent comes from. We're in South Lanarkshire, in the south of Scotland here.
I'm just some big, dumb American dude. I've got no accent.
Oh, you've definitely got an accent.
Oh,
I mean, that's the thing.
Okay,
Nobody
sure.
has an accent till they move, but in this global society we live in now, we've all got accents. We just need to accept it.
Okay, yeah. All right. Jamie, what's your favorite thing you've put together with JR? Out of all the wild stuff you guys
JR might be
have
a
done.
dickhead, but apparently he's got some great friends.
Well, what's actually this quote? I think for me, actually, what's kind of one of the more fun things. I don't know about the most epic. One of the most fun things has definitely been doing the air ramp for this, where we had literally 2 hours to invent it from nothing, literally from scrap. So that's been fun. I think casting the Daymar Rally trophies, that was definitely a lot of fun as well. We did that down in my workshop. That was definitely a lot of fun. There's too many different things that have just got different facets to them, I suppose. What about yourself?
Yeah.
From, the sort of your participation perspective. What's been the most epic thing he's done, do you think?
I'm gonna have to cop out and go with this Covalex unit. We did a little bit of work together with the GSS unit. There's a lot of stuff that we've done internally together too as well. So I'll cop out to say that this Covalex unit, I think it's a culmination of so many different things and efforts put together. I think it's just a simple delivery locker, but like putting everything together, it's just really cool to see it work. It's just such an analogous item.
And I think a lot of people can kind of relate to it, because a lot of things start and end literally with this. What goes on in between times is many and various, but this is a kind of focal point for a lot of people to recognise, I think.
Yeah. I think what I'd like to see is like I love some of the old mission stuff. Like when I first started playing Star Citizen, there was the Covalex shipping hub that's like kind of destroyed, and you'd have to go in there and kind of investigate from like an insurance policy perspective and like find out what happened. And used to like pick up these um, little keypads and stuff like that. And so I think like I'd like to see some keypad integration there. I think we were talking about that. I'd like to see, some other neat things besides just shipping boxes that we could put in the unit. Like there's like a wine, whiskey, or I forget what the alcohol is. There used to be a mission where you'd have to go collect these things off of one of the stations. So I think I'd like to see a little bit more added onto this and bootstrap to this. But
yeah, now something I'm kind of intrigued by, when you press the button, that uncertainty whirl. Damn, that works. That's most annoying. You must have practiced that. When you're unaccustomed to it. The delay that you've put in with the door opening.
Yeah, so I'd like to get that fixed for you guys as well, so you can just press a button to open it and override that, because you guys certainly do have to deal with that delay, that's for sure.
Oh no, I mean we can suck it up. It's just when you're not expecting it, you know.
It should be, I'm trying to think, there's a certain amount of seconds that it counts down, and I'm looking at the code here. I should be able to find out.
And I think I do think that the glitches could definitely be a humorous part of it as well, and a stuttering door. There's all potential there. Now, what is this that John's brought in?
I think just to answer, I think the coolest thing we could probably have short term on this is effectively a debug mode where we can literally have a button that opens the door and a button that closes the door.
Oh, I've just been decrying that, John.
Oh no, debug mode is good for us when we're setting this sort of stuff up, not for anyone to use in the long term, but just to be able to. So this is what this box turned into. This is most of it.
And how is this box infinitely superior to the box that we have currently in it?
Well, I'll put the other one next to it.
It's literally a game of spot the difference.
Oh, there's a hell of a lot of differences between these two boxes.
Sit it on top, actually. Does that work?
Well, we'll go in with the camera and sort of see. So,
all right.
This is box one. Ignore the weird color. It's weird colors because I've had it in my spray room for quite a long time, and I've literally put things I'm spraying across it and sprayed around it. So it's been 3,000 colors. But so this was like a first kind of idea as a fridge crate. So it opens at the front rather than the top. But other than that, it's completely solid. You sort of see the milling lines in here and stuff. It's quite horrible. The detail doesn't go in very far. On the sides, you know, it's just hideous and ugly. Whereas these actually got to the point of being pretty darn nice. The detailing stuff was so much nicer on them. The handles are separate. So one of the big differences between these boxes is that this one is not one single lump. This is lots of parts. So you've got the lid. This is all milled on the inside for the pies, so a pie screen fits in here. And then there's flat inserts that you put in here with the bobbles on, so they're easier to paint and stuff.
So each box has got a pie in it then?
Yeah. So there's an actual touch screen on the top.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what does NVIDIA think of a sneeze?
I don't know. I'm not gonna COVID up my audience, like virtual COVID. So it's got this ring. Now the reason that all these bits are separate is because they're painted different colors, and it's really hard to get a good mask on this for two reasons. One, masking's a pain in the ass, but also AC2 paint melts adhesive.
Yes, of course.
So there's very few tapes you can use that the paint doesn't melt.
Yeah. So
it's a ball ache. So to have each thing that you're painting a different color as a separate piece, you get a much better paint finish on it. So that's why all of these bits are completely separate. So this is one color, that bit's one color, and then they all get attached together, obviously, in the end.
Is there too much attention to detail? I mean, these are effectively palettes of the future, flung together with a nail gun by conscripts and prisoners.
Well, no, but then
are they going to make them nicely like you are?
Yes, because the thing is, they do look nice. Because actually, they aren't put together by conscripts and prisoners. They're put together on a gigapress, and just in the future they will just be pressed out on magical presses.
I see. Okay.
So we need to make them work. We need to kind of make them look like they do need to look pretty perfect. In game, they look pretty perfect. So
right, okay.
And they're made of metal in the game as well. So
ignore my conscripts and prisoners comment.
Yeah.
Then.
So, and this is the thing. So there's a proper opening latch here. So the pie screen's a touch screen at the top. So this one was our lockbox version. So you actually tapped a code in to get it to open. Mm-hmm. So it was actually locked with a solenoid catch on the inside. We did a PC crate version that had fans and stuff on it.
And what's the weight of that? If somebody had to lug that around Manchester.
Oh, someone has to lug that around Manchester. Yeah. Empty weight is about 15 kilos.
Yeah, so they'd know
it's
all
heavy.
About it.
Yeah, it's heavy. That's heavier though.
So, Jared, a couple questions.
Yes.
Wouldn't one of those make for a good fridge?
We do have a fridge version of it. We do genuinely have a... so Mr. Grey-Headed Gamer streamer has a fridge version of it. So there's a mini fridge that sits inside it. The front door opens again on the electrical catch. So the funny thing with the fridge is that you lock the fridge on the keypad on the top. I'll dig out a video. I've got a video of it working. But the crazy thing is that you can actually hack it. Stephen the Geek can control it. So we could lock GHG out from his beer.
Oh, wow.
Which is quite funny, because it's all internet ready. Because it all gets its software updates via Wi-Fi, so you can sort of hack in and like, I'm sorry, Ninetales has stolen your beer. You have to stream for 20 hours to get a beer or something, which is quite funny. But yeah, so there was a beer fridge version of it, a PC crate version of it, and just this lockbox version of it. And they're really cool, and they're awesome, and we don't sell them anymore. So,
you mentioned the Raspberry Pi on the crate. Can you talk about what the Raspberry Pi is doing on those crates?
Yeah, so on this crate, it's literally, so in the game, there is a screen on it. So we got all of the artwork from the in-game screen. And it's just basically got a code on it. So this box is as purest to the game as possible, this just lockbox crate. So these are the personal crates. So if you collect loads of mineable, hand minables, and then put it in a crate, this is the crate that appears at the moment. I think, well, it used to be anyway. You see these in game all the time, this particular crate. Now, the keen eye amongst you will know why we did the first one of these. So the first one of these appeared on stage with Chris Roberts in 2017 at CitizenCon with him taking an Optane drive out of it. So that's the first one we built, and it was much more like this one because we designed and made it in 3 days just before we went out to Germany. And when we came back, we made nice ones. But the one we had in Germany was just like a box with a lid. It didn't have a pie screen in it. It just had a bit of acrylic with a inkjet printed out image and a few LED torches behind it, like literally just out of a packet LED torches. And at the last minute, Chris was like, can we have dry ice coming out of it? It's like, I don't see why not, and this is the problem. I mean, like, I think there's a conspiracy that JR and CR are not allowed to talk to each other because otherwise all of CRG's money would get spent or something. But it's like, yeah, cool, right, well, we'll get dry ice. So Sean went out and got dry ice for us, but he could only get pellets. He couldn't get blocks.
Did they not just take his sock off and fire a fire extinguisher through it?
No, we needed a lot. We had to do 4 dress rehearsals, and this was enough to fill a stage amount of dry ice.
Okay.
So we were putting 6 kilos a time in this.
Wow.
So because it needed to sit on stage for quite a bit. So what happened was there was this video of this spaceship blowing up and this box. You sort of centered on this box and this box falling out of the spaceship, and you sort of follow the box on the camera on the video all the way down to the planet crashes on the planet, and then the lights come up and the box is sat on stage magically. Now, the magic happened by me running through on the blackout, placing the box, and we had to, because I did a lot of theatre stuff anyway, so this wasn't unusual, but there's a light on the bottom of it. So this light lights up as well. And so that you didn't see me coming on with that, we had a gaffer tape tear off. So as I placed the box, I then took the tear off as I left, so it just sort of appeared during this 3-second blackout. So I was standing in the wings with the box. Callie was there with a kettle, because we didn't actually have to, because this was like literally on the last day we did the dry ice, we didn't have a heater for it. Because usually you'd have a block of dry ice and an electric heater.
Yes.
That's how you do dry ice. We didn't have that, so we had a Tupperware pot, right? Pelleted dry ice, not blocks, and I'll explain why that's a fucking ball ache, and a kettle of hot water.
And you're pouring hot water essentially onto dry ice and Optane drives that were fairly rare at that time.
Yeah, so hot water went in, then Optane drive went on top in a little wire basket that we'd put in, and then I ran out on stage, placed it, pulled the tab. The problem with pellets is they're really ferocious because they've got a huge surface area, but when you pour water on them, they freeze the water around them. So you end up with this block of water ice with dry ice trapped inside and no fog coming off it. So we really only got about 6 seconds of fog. So the timing had to be...
work?
Yeah, it worked enough, I think. It did work enough. So... we control all your peers. I like that plan, thank you. and it's one of those things that it did work. It worked fine. CR came out. The funny thing was that people expected CR to come out the box because on the stream you couldn't tell how big it was. You didn't know whether it was like human-sized or tiny because on the VOD all you saw was a black stage and then this thing had appeared with fog coming out of it. So, but yeah, so when we came back, we thought so that actual box that was on stage in 2017 is in Brian Chambers' office because he wrote "This belongs to Brian Chambers" on the inside and no one argued with it. And he's head of the German office, so you're not going to argue with Brian anyway. But yeah, so he's got that one that sits in the corner of his office. But we came back and made nicer ones. And so we put an actual Raspberry Pi in the top of it so you can actually lock it with codes and all this kind of stuff. And again, this will be a great gamification thing at an event. You could have a box and then you need to go and do a hacking mission to find the code to open the box to get, something. So definitely these crates could be a huge part of the thing. The issue with them was that they don't flat pack. And because they don't flat pack, they need to be shipped to customers as they are.
Yeah.
In a lot of foam packing to make sure they get damaged on the way. And the shipping for these was about £150. And the box themselves, the actual work that goes into these is about a week's work. So realistically, this box is about £600-700 to buy.
If you were keen, you'd buy it, though.
Yeah, but it's not.
If you appreciate the effort and you really wanted properly cooled beer.
Oh,
it
yeah.
looked good.
No, absolutely. But this isn't a seminal enough Star Citizen prop to be worth that, I don't think. This doesn't scream Star. It is in Star Citizen, is one of the things that we interact with, but it's not like a Space Whale or it's just a box. So one of the things having a new workshop may allow us to do is to have a look at more of the box designs, because this is one of the first boxes that was in-game. There are a lot more now. There's probably some that we can... Ain't no Big Bennies. Well, we did do a Big Bennies version of this. This was what we had. We had all the Big Bennies decals on it, and it was done out all in Big Benny's colours and everything. It looked really, really nice.
Once you get your 5-axis CNC, though, you'll be able to just mill them.
Yeah, you still got to sand and paint them and stuff. And again, it's still the shipping. So if I could find one that worked better, in fact, the one on the picture, on that Imager link that we sent through up the stream, I'll stick it in chat again because chat's sort of. So this is the one that we've kind of got in that this one has a lot more potential of being flat packable because the black bit forms a paint line.
Yeah.
So you could actually have. I'm pointing at a screen that no one can see. So you've got the up and downy. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. This. I mean, just check we're on the right scene.
Technology's kind of broken here when this is what we're reduced to.
Yeah, right. Okay, so look at the screen. There we go. Right. So.
Hopefully they can see.
Oh my God, yeah. Right. So you can kind of split the box down this paint line to the right of this and to the left of this. So this piece and this piece ship separately, and then you've got this joining piece on the side, then the bottom and the top. So that you could actually flat pack down into a.
There's a bit of me thinking here, blah blah IKEA. When you're starting to make things flat pack. You're verging on the IKEA.
So
what would somebody rather have? The proper box that you could jump on, stand on.
Oh, no. That's the thing.
People don't appreciate just how robust these things are.
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, well, God, I actually use this as a sort of jumping on thing. I mean, these are ludicrous. I just had this as a stool for ages. It's actually quite a good sitting height. I actually used to sit at my desk when I had a desk down here at my PC, because it's actually it's a 500mm high, so it's actually quite a good seat. I think this gets the shit kicked out of it.
I have to confess, I think the flat pack concept.
Well, no, but the thing, okay, flat pack just means it comes in pieces, right? Just because it comes in pieces doesn't mean when you put it together with the fixings that you get with it, it doesn't mean it's still not that strong. These aren't IKEA. No, these aren't IKEA. These wouldn't be IKEA fixings. They'd be like either coffin locks or, sort of event theatre-y type fixings.
When they become flat packed in games, then you should flat pack. That's my opinion.
I'm trying to make a product that's easier to make and sell. Jamie's not happy. Jamie's a purist. I like it. Anyway, so these crates are lovely. I do like these crates. We have 3 of them. We've got one PC crate, one normal crate, and one fridge ready for paint. Pretty much. They just, they were actually for 3 customers, but. We literally got to the point where we were losing money on them. You know, it's like the price that we were selling them for. We was going to take us twice that to make them.
People
And
don't
it's just-
care about that.
No, they do. I mean, it's that whole case of we hadn't taken any money off them or anything. We were building them for an event, and then we were selling them onto them afterwards. But it just
I don't know. If I was, well, my personal opinion is, if I was getting a cheap box, I wouldn't care if you starved and died, as long as you died after you made my box.
Well, yeah, that's true. Thank God you're not my customer.
So looking at this poor Covalex unit,
Yeah, that we've ripped holes in there. Yeah,
now look at it. It's got a gaping hole
yeah,
in the outside.
it has.
It's got a gaping hole in the middle, and now it's got a gaping hole here. You can literally, there's a hole here, and a hole here.
no.
Is there some point in the future we're going to start putting this poor thing back together?
No, we're going to drill some more holes in it first.
Right, some more holes.
Some more holes. So let me just move
A bit
this.
more wanton destruction, noise,
More wanton
mess.
destruction. Yep. It doesn't get a reprieve yet. So, other things we need. Now we've got all this electronics out the way, we can fit our sensors. Our proximity sensors.
Ah, yes. So, is there anybody watching that has no idea what you're talking about?
Probably. So we've basically got these two little proximity sensors, which are just magnetic reed switch sensors. And these are to detect where this door sits. So when the door is open, when the door is closed. So we're going to fit both of those into suitable places.
Why do we care where the door is? Quick recap.
Just so that we know if anyone's got their fingers trapped in it, really. The idea is that if the air ram closes the door, and someone's got their arm in the way, the door won't hurt them because it's basically falling under gravity on this rope, so the rope just goes slack, and you're just holding the door basically, which is a really nice foolproof safety feature.
And how does it react? So the close, the pie.
Yes.
Is aware that the door's not closed
Well,
properly.
yeah.
What's its action? Does it just open the door? And
Yeah,
try again?
so it would basically throw an error, so beep, 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 and then open the door again. So that would be a sort of artificial. It would go. We'd have the red flashing lights or something, and it would just open the door again. And then probably the thing we would have is put a message comes up on the screen that says, remove obstruction and click here to close the door.
Yeah.
So basically, you put your hand in the way, it's closed the door, but the door hasn't reached its close point according to the sensor, so the Pi knows that the door's supposed to be closed, but it isn't, and therefore can infer that something has gone wrong. So perhaps the box wasn't all the way in and it's shut on top of the box or anything like that. We need to give the Pi enough sensory information to know that something has gone wrong. So that is an important thing. And then on the other side, we also want to know, as a quick sort of logic check, that the door has opened correctly. There's less of a safety issue with that, really. I guess if it doesn't open all the way, something is mechanically broken with it. Good to know, I guess. It can have a little thing that says out of order.
You could have a counter attached to it, for example, and know how many times somebody opened the door. Yeah,
but I mean, that could be done in the Pi without a sensor, so it could just knows that it's done that cycle and it could count. But
fair enough, because it would be very easy to run a counter off a reed switch.
It would, but it would then have to be in two different circuits because this is going to be attached to the Pi. I don't know if you could put a counter and the Pi. Anyway, either way, it's less important. However, we may end up using this top sensor as part of our zeroing when we move this over to a servo-controlled stepper motor. So we're going to put both top and bottom in for the time being. Oh, little dog! Hello, little dog. What's the dog's name again?
So this is Percy, and that is in fact short for Persephone.
Oh, nice. Hello, dog. We like animals on stream. We like animals on the stream. Dog.
What kind of dog is she?
She is a Basenji mixed with a Boston Terrier. So she's kind of a weird dog. She's not.
Oh, she's a bonny-looking dog.
She is indeed. Oh, so Why Not Wild asks, where does the sensor go? Because if your arm's in the bottom, can't it trigger the sensor? No, so it's a magnetic reed switch. So unless you have a magnetic arm, So perhaps if the Terminator puts his arm in, but then I suppose we're less worried about there being injury if the Terminator puts his arm in and triggers the reed switch. So I think we're grand. So yeah, it's a little magnetic switch. It'll actually be in the magnetic switch is going to go on this side. We tested it on Wednesday, and the magnets are strong enough to sense it through the 18 mil, which is great. So it means we can mount the. Can actually pull this door out because I've taken the bungee off. So in the back of the door here. So I just want to look at the end of this. So this is a 3D printed end stop. So this is wood. This is 3D printed, and then these are rollers from a shower door, I think. I bought rollers at the right size. I think they're supposed to be for a shower door. So what we'll do is we'll inset a magnet in here, just basically glue a round magnet onto this, and then that's quite nice because that's going to stay still, and then we can move the sensor around because it's just screwed onto this bit of wood, and you don't see this bit. This is on the inside of the workings of the cabinet, so we can move the reed switch around as much as we like to get it exactly where we want it. So that works quite nicely from that point of view. That's quite idiot-proof. We like idiot-proof. Idiot-proof is good.
Right, so what holes are we going to drill in then?
Links again. This is a kind of a development video on my channel and another unlisted video just to show how long it takes for the sensor to pick up. And you'll see towards the tail end of the video. I also had some IR sensors I was playing with to see if there was, kind of like a garage door. If something broke the array, then it would go ahead and reverse the action or whatever the safety mechanism would be. So
I'm going to
the door switches and how they pick up. It's literally just an open and close. How far you can see that those are picked up. And
nice. I'm doing a really impromptu. Oh, that's Imager. I don't want Imager. I want YouTube. Sorry, this is me doing a really impromptu.
It's worth viewing though. That way you can kind of see how that looks. This is one of the better views of this thing being put together and in use.
Oh, come on.
Just agree.
Damn you. No, I can't. I can't click on anything on this. I've done it as a source.
Oh no.
Wait a minute, we can do this. We're going to break it, people. Just don't worry about it. Just no, I can't. You just have to click on that link, I'm afraid. I need to set up more. I need that we are going to need to have as a scene, as a way of doing it, because looking at the screen isn't going to give us enough image there. So yeah, click on Jamesy Boy's link in the chat. Apologies. So yeah, so this kind of shows how sensitive the sensor is and stuff, which is awesome. And you get to experience the delight of his like seizure-inducing keyboard, which I think is amazing. No, that's really cool. That's really cool. That does make a lot of sense as well, from a sort of the range point of view, and that is similar to what we found. They are actually really sensitive, and we can sort of, because we're not going to use the magnets that come with it, we'll just glue some magnets into there. We can kind of control it a little bit of how sensitive it is by gluing bigger and smaller magnets on, which is quite handy. Okay. So we don't need to drill any holes for this, which is nice. We just need to basically locate. So I think, where does this door sit when it's fully open? About there. So here, I think, for one switch.
Shouldn't we put the switches in after we put the magnets in?
Well, no. So what I want to do, I want to put the switches in roughly so we can work out the cable routings, because we need to work out where the pie is going to go. So this is more us putting everything back to, sort of starting to put things back together, sort of, maybe. Obviously, where we used to mount all our things has disappeared. This is now a gaping fucking hole. So what we'll be doing on Wednesday is designing all these insets in CAD, so that we can actually mill them and insert them. Now, we might say, well, the pie is probably going to be attached to our new insert.
Yeah.
That's fine, because we can just, if we want a bit more thickness, we can just glue a strip of wood to it or what have you to give us a bit more depth. That kind of makes sense. I quite like that. So that's where we are. I think this is the last modification we need to make of this, though. We probably don't need to put the sensors in. I think we can probably do that afterwards once we've got everything back together.
Yeah, I think putting the sensors in and just give them enough length cable, because the only cable routing that we need here is the RFID reader and the 2 sensors here. Why don't we have another box here behind it and have the screen and everything all together?
What do you mean by another box?
Having the screen with a box that if you need to remove the electronics from the unit for any reason, you just take the whole lot, you unplug the air line.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Drive the stepper motor.
I'll tell you what we could do, actually. I'm just from a point, I don't want to have to make another one of these cables, but... hold there. I'm wondering whether we put...
Just mount everything here.
Yeah, just mount everything here. Like you say, just put a panel of wood in here.
Yes.
We can cut down a bit of one of those bits we've cut out. Because that's 12 mil. So if we glued a few little strips onto it to give it a bit more thing, put a board there and screwed it in on the sides, and we can just we put all the electronics on that board, lift it all out. We can get longer hoses, the solenoid hoses, bring everything down. Yeah, I like that, because then we can just, especially when we come around to paint it and everything, leave the screen as a separate thing, but just rip all of the electronics out in one go.
If you were going all out, you could even cut a door here, hinged, that outwardly came, that if this was mounted in a corner or something, you'd no access.
No, there's not a panel on the front, so it wouldn't be in-game accurate.
To ask about that. To be game accurate, the maintenance panel is in the upper left quadrant.
Well, and there's 2 down there as well. They're both maintenance panels at the bottom as well.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the thing is, what I did want to do is actually to have these as usable cupboards. Because the other thing, this to me, my goal in all of this, and when I'm building a project like this, I want cake and eat it. I want it to be fully game accurate, do all the cool shit, and be useful. And be useful as a piece of furniture. I learned that with my first build, the GSS unit, the big yellow cupboard, which is a bit bigger than this one. But it's a bit bigger than this one and has a quarter of the usable space in it. One half of it is entirely unusable, and the other half, because the doors open inward, the shelves are only half depth.
But that's game accurate.
It's game accurate and fucking useless.
But you can't argue with who designed it in game, though.
No, Mr. Corey Bamford is a wonderful human being. And he wasn't intending it to be built as a real thing, so it wasn't really a problem.
Did you have words with him?
I did have words with him.
To improve his future.
To improve his future work. No, it was really nice. I actually love... when the GSS unit first went to CIG, I sort of donated it to live in their office for a while, with the intention of them going, "Oh, that's an amazing cut. We should totally get that guy to make some stuff," and that kind of worked. So that was a good chat. But I went down to deliver it, and they gave us a bit of a sort of like private studio tour. So they do studio tours at CIG. You can book a studio tour. I thoroughly recommend it, by the way. You get to see some amazing stuff. They do them quite regularly. You can just contact CIG and ask them when they're going to do a studio tour at any of the studios, and they'll sort of put you on the mailing list for it. And if you're a big enough organization, I know Pulsar 42 contacted them, said there's this many of us, this place, can we have a studio tour? And they arranged a studio tour for that group, for that org, so that's really cool. So they do that a lot, so it's well worth looking into. Cameron Wilkie is your contact for that, for Manchester anyway. So went down, got a private studio tour, and Cameron was like, "Oh, well, who do you want to meet? Do you want to go meet the ship team? Do you want to meet?" He's like, "No, I want to meet whoever designed this box." And he was like, "Oh, okay, that's the props team." Took us to the props team. And I think it was the first time the props team had ever had a visitor. It's like, people have come to see us. And there was Ben Curtis, who's now the head of ships, and Corey, and it was brilliant. And, they were the first people I met, at CIG, and they're definitely still my favorite people at the company, because they build the cool ass props. And Ben's now on high and mighty on his ship halls, but I will say that the ships have got. The ships have got better. I will say that. The ships have got better since he's been running that department. They've been more on time. They've been, his first start to finish was probably the MSR. And it's just, I think his ships under his command have been significantly superior to the ones beforehand. So, but that's just me. I like them, man. But yeah, so I still get on very well. I actually have a picture of Corey in this cupboard before it was painted because he came up to stay with us, and I just have a picture of him like peering out the door, which is really cool. But yeah, no, it's. I like trying to pick props from the game that I can turn into something that's actually useful to human beings in the real world, and still is cool enough to use for events and stuff. And where this will end up, I don't know. I'm building this principally for gamification at events, whether that be events that we take it to, or that we rent CIG to take to, or the CIG buy for events, whatever. I'd like to see more than one of them. This is definitely something that can interact with 2 or 3 of them at an event, so you can do missions between them and all that kind of stuff. I'd also like to see it in one of the CIG offices at some point, and to that end, that is the only big mod that needs doing. For anyone who hasn't heard us talking about this air ram currently works on compressed air. This needs to be swapped out for something else. Because although it's a very, very neat solution, this air ram that hides in here between the door, I mean, we've got it into such a tiny space, all the workings of it. It is a bit savage and requires a compressor and all the rest of it. So it's not a hugely practical office solution. And I would really like to have a go with playing around with stepper motors and seeing where we can take steppers, because they have so much more potential to them.
Yes, exactly.
But that's for a later project on this. Goal 1 is to finish it, get all this interior done. That's the next job, really. So to CAD out all these panels, to create toolpaths on the machine, cut the new panels that are going to make this look pretty. There's going to be a light in the back here, so we'll need to put a bit of access in for that. This currently just slides out. I don't want to break that. So this panel that comes in here just wants to sit against this, but it wants to be structural enough that it'll just hug the top there. But obviously we can access cables into it from there. So the only other thing I want to do, and this might be Jamie's project on this project for the next stage. Let's talk the mechanical whirrings. I really want this thing to have a physical, mechanical noise-making element. You've got this amount of space here. It's going to live here.
So you know that I'm struggling with this right now. Because if it's faux noise, I'm not on board with it.
No, I don't.
One cool thing with the air ram is the noise. I do think that we should play with stepper motors and see what kind of noises we can actually get out of stepper motors just working them.
They're going to sound like the CNC. They're just going to go. Wah. They're not going to really make a particularly nice noise. I think the other thing is, it's not about what I'm after a more global solution here. I don't really want it to be about the noise it makes when the door opens and closes. I want it to be about the noise before and after the door closes. Because if we're assuming that this is a trap door in the bottom, so you put the box in, this thing opens and it falls through and all this kind of stuff, I want to hear that.
Do we really want it sounding like a 1960s vending machine, though?
No, I think it'd be interesting to grab the sound files from in-game and listen. Like, we'll go and do some box missions and record the sounds to find out. Because, I mean, that would be the cool thing, to actually really replicate it. But I don't want... So the really quick, cheaty way of doing this is get the game file sounds, put some speakers in this thing, and it'll make the exact sound that the machine makes.
Full sound, we're just not into that.
Exactly. I want to feel the mechanical sounds, because when you're standing there and we have big gears in it and stuff.
JR immediately. If you insist, we will look at the evidence.
Dr. 3MK1L. What a weird name. Don't try and damn, because it'll mean something. I wasn't quick enough to try and work out what the letters together. Thank you very much for the follow. You'll have to tell us what the mnemonic of that is. I kind of want it to sound like it's doing stuff, because we're assuming that the box drops into a compartment below and it gets swished away. Yes. And this is like it's just a box that you go to, but there's all workings behind it that takes boxes away.
To that is to actually build that elevator
the whole elevator system.
That's what I would like to see happen.
Dream kill. Thank you very much. You are that makes total. I can totally see that now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think, and it'd be interesting to hear what you guys think, that actually chopping the bottom out, we've already made one square hole. What the hell difference? Chopping another hole, putting a little elevator system in here, stepper motor controlled, drops it down, shifts it across. There's enough room for 2 boxes here, so you can have one staged, one ready to go. I mean, that would really be the killer move. Otherwise, you might as well just stick speakers in it.
No.
Convince me otherwise.
Well, okay, that's ridiculous.
Me
that's why we just wanted to make it, because this has to be vaguely practical. So one of the other tricks that this does is that this is actually 2 units.
That doesn't.
I know that doesn't
make it any more difficult.
It's got wheels on it. It's that would be feature creep beyond something I'm even happy to do. Now, I did consider on that note.
This is my bah humbug face.
What? No, but I did consider that this at an event would be quite a cool way of buying our products. So you would tappy tap on the screen, buy a product, and then there would be a feeding system that would bring that product into here, because obviously they are much smaller.
Right, if that feeding system is not a human being that's kind of reading the back of that and going, it wants one of them. And
that was going to be the end solution, yes. That is the theatre solution to that, because actually human beings are much better at it than machines. Because, it would break.
Blah blah face now.
Yeah, yes, I know it's your blah blah face. Let's focus on what we've got and what's sensible here. I think I want it to sound like it's doing stuff.
So none of this really impacts on the door, though. So stepper motors, the drive system for the door, I think can proceed as planned.
Yeah, and if we end up putting some kind of mechanics on it to make a deliberate noise when the axle's spinning. Maybe, I don't know.
Or not.
If it doesn't make a nice enough noise, we can mechanically make it make more noise, I suppose.
I think those other noises you're talking about could be generated by something else doing something useful, as opposed
to just making noises.
Yes.
I guess
I go into faux noise.
Is it still faux noise if it's still a mechanical noise?
Yes.
Well, okay. I didn't realise that we were on like it's still a fake noise if it's not mechanically doing something. Oh dear, that's.
It really puts you in the back foot, eh?
Yeah, no, I don't count that as a faux noise. I want the middle ground. I want a noise for noise's sake, but I don't want it to be a speaker. I want it to be a mechanical. I want it to sound like it's mechanically opened the door, it's brought another crate in, it's loaded it, there's chunkling around of the machinery that would be in there. And
the easiest way, in my humble opinion,
is to make it actually do
that. Put that in. I mean, it's a wee bit of project creep, but it's not beyond the project.
Start again. The problem, okay.
Right, so very quickly, literally.
Why wouldn't that work?
So you are a fully fledged and qualified mechanical engineer with years of experience.
Electromechanical engineer, that's even worse, because that should definitely be what I should be doing.
You could design that literally in 3 minutes flat and execute that design in a time frame that fitted everything round about you.
It would be possible to do it. I'm not saying it wouldn't be, but it would effectively be a whole new unit. Because the whole of this floor would have to be completely different. This can't exist.
And I've already seen how difficult it is to make a hole in a bit of wood.
I'm aware of that. But my sensible head says that is feature creep beyond what this is designed to do.
What about if we didn't actually build it, but you went through the design process of how you would do it if you were to do it?
But thinking about it, would be better to think about how you would do it in 2951, because then the sounds we would be creating would be more indicative of what it should sound like, not what it would sound like now. Because that'd be like saying, well, what would it sound like if it was run on Steam, effectively, from a futurism point of view?
I disagree.
So how?
Well, my reason that I disagree is, what is the difference in sound between a caveman eating a bowl of porridge and us eating a bowl of porridge today?
I suppose the spoon would be made out of a different material, and the bowl, so it would be more like a wood on wood sound for the caveman, whereas we'd be like a metal on china. or
You don't think we just
ceramic.
literally slurp it out the bowl?
Yeah, that's probably... Also, where they're getting the porridge from.
Well, they grow porridge.
Do they?
Yeah. Do you not grow porridge?
I don't grow porridge. I know you do, and obviously...
I do indeed. I'm growing my own porridge.
He is growing his own porridge. He's trying to be the most Scottish person in the world. No, we don't grow our own porridge. Okay, let's just assume we're not making it actually work.
But what we could do is design how it might work and emulate the sound of how it might work.
Okay. I'm willing to muse on that. Okay, so
because I think there's some common ground.
yes. Okay. Yeah.
So if we don't actually build it, but we design it, you can get from the design how it's going to sound.
Okay, so let's work that out then. So this isn't how you would make it work on this unit. This is how it would work in real life. Yes, because that's the sound we're emulating, not how we would make this cupboard do it.
Let's just run with how the cupboard would do it, just in case.
Okay, so we assume that the box goes down into this section.
And I think that's a fair enough
Looking at the
assumption.
metrics and because the panels on the front match the panels in the game, so there is room for that crate to sit under there. We store them under there.
And
So
there's absolutely no room for the box to go sideways.
yeah, exactly.
There just isn't, so it's
and
going
we can
down
sort
the
of
way.
see in the pictures that this looks like a trapdoor.
Yeah.
It's obviously going to have to go this way. It's going to have to drop that way because the box is already in it, so it can't open like that.
Mm-hmm.
So to start with, that door's going to open, and the
Yes.
box is either going to free fall down, or something as that door opens, something's going to come up through the middle and hold it
And catch it.
and then those doors are going to fully open. So you would hear the door open, so clunk
as
of the door
door's
opening.
as the door's open, so if we can sort of look here. I haven't got any pseudo. I've got some pseudo doors here. If we can assume what ends convenient to be the bottom, this ends the bottom. So the doors open like this.
Yeah.
You're going to get some kind of noise, kind of that noise.
Yeah.
As the doors come
it's
here.
It's going to rub on the box, isn't
It's
it?
going to rub.
This is where Corey's team are going, oh, God, we just put a door in it. Stop thinking about it so hard, JR. Yeah.
So, I mean, immediately one way of doing this would be pretty cool is a roller on the edge of the corners with a bit of rubber around there that rotates, that when it's there, actually in-game, if we can bring that up, you've got the yellow chevrons, isn't there? That could be treadmill.
We just open it for us, obviously. Follow the link in
What colour are the chevrons?
white.
White chevrons. Don't know why I thought they were yellow. But there's chevrons. So it's clearly two doors.
Yes,
with
clearly two doors.
chevrons.
They've got to open downwards.
Yes. So the edges of the doors could have rollers that you could keep enough pressure on that you're dropping the box nicely, and it rolls down.
But you've not got rollers. You can't see rollers.
You can see. All right, you've got a gap though. You've definitely got a gap.
Yeah.
All right, so we've not got rollers. We've got a friction surface then.
Yeah.
That's gripping it. So it'd be quite easy to imagine a box dropping down there.
Yeah.
With a controlled descent with the doors.
And then something's catching it, bringing it down.
Air ram. Not air, because we're not having air.
Yeah, it's got to... I think it would be some form of effectively chain drive to bring it down.
An electric linear actuator, a screw
Yeah, I suppose it's going to be
actuator,
more steppers or motors or something.
Yeah,
It's going to be
so
a
a linear
motor, so
actuator.
yeah.
I mean, you could have the linear actuator, because you have to imagine the centre of mass of the box might not always be in the middle of the box.
No, and the other thing is it could be a small box, it could be a single package. You know, sometimes these things are literally just a little packet. You are dropping any sort of thing off in this box that up to the size of something like that, and some of them are mighty heavy. Some of them are full of like minerals, like literal metals and things. So okay, it's going to drop. There's going to be some scraping.
So we've got a couple of doors that we've got some very convenient props.
Yeah.
A couple of doors that have dropped down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Our linear actuator here
Catches it.
catches it, drops it down, Actually, if it was a parallelogram arrangement, you could have it arranged so that it did actually put it over there. Could be done.
It could be, but actually putting it over there doesn't help you at all. You've got to imagine there's hundreds of boxes coming in and out of this. Behind this, in theory, must be this huge, like, post office sorting thing. Yeah, it's got to bring it out of here into a sorting place.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's probably, it might actually be even more like an air suction system. You know, one where they've got like the money that they go and it like, gets something as it gets taken away by air or something.
I bet you could probably visit Amazon.
Yeah.
And see exactly this somewhere in one of their or an airport baggage handling system. There'll be something that does exactly that.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody online can give us a good suggestion how they think it should be done.
Don't open it up to the internet. This is not going to get us any faster. Oh, Flan has arguments with himself about this sort of thing when he was designing his desk. Yeah, it's trying to work out like. Okay, so we've got door scraping sound. How are we mimicking that?
By scraping a box down a door.
In this, you've got this amount of space. That's all you've got. work within this for me. Come on. Your electronics are over there.
There's electronics here, but
there.
The doors are opening here, are they not?
Yep, they are. But
yeah, so we've got two doors here, route.
No. We're not actually making doors. All the sound is being created over here. We agreed this was us working out what the sounds would sound like so we can mimic them. Everyone heard it. Jamie's feature creeping again.
So I think possibly you're going to end up with speakers.
But that's boring. I mean, there'll be speakers in it for the digital noises.
How long would it take to actually mock it up?
What, to actually record the sound of it doing these things?
No, to actually just make the box fall through the doors of the actuators.
Why?
It's not a case of why, it's why not.
Well, okay, why not? One, our RFID system no longer works because that'll be
We just need to change it slightly.
There's no point in it. There's like zero point in making it work. Because then this isn't a useful cupboard anymore. So we've actually made it less useful than it was before. And the thing is, we're not actually achieving anything. Because there isn't a huge Royal Mail sorting office here. So all we're going to do is drop the box into the bottom cupboard.
It would allow you to have this backed up against a wall and receive two boxes.
No, how do you close the doors again?
They're only half size. When the box is down the bottom, the doors will close.
I don't think they will.
Of course they will.
The box sits to the...
Where's your tape measure? Of course they will.
Of course they will. It's on there. But I don't see the point. I just don't see the point in it.
Follow the arc. I take it that's in the middle there. Here's the
might be.
hinge. Don't actually know, but look. You've got an arc box. Will easily sit between there and there. Can definitely be made to work.
It can, but why? It doesn't achieve anything.
It allows you to accept two boxes, or potentially have beer in one box and soft drinks in the other box, if you were.
But so where does that box go? How do you get the other box in? How do you call a different box than the one you've just put down there?
That does become more difficult. Yeah. I'm not saying it's perfect. We're talking about, let's not get past the noise here. Faux noise versus the real noise. That's what the actual conversation is.
Yes, it is. And all I am saying is that I would prefer to have something making a noise that's an actual mechanical thing that gives the case a bit of vibration that you can sort of identify.
You're talking about mechanical faux noise.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that will sound better to give it the actual rumble than speakers will produce. You'd need. I'm not saying you can't do it with speakers, but you need a proper speaker system in this.
I'm reaching out for some common ground here. Right.
Yeah.
Is there any kind of mechanical override that you could retrieve a box if there was a power outage? So, for example, you cranked a handle, that there was somehow a mechanical connection to the door. If there was a mechanical override up in that maintenance panel that
Well,
whirred and turned
yeah,
with the
potentially.
stepper motors, that could
Yeah.
be common ground.
But what does that? So what? So that's the
So-
only time you get a real noise.
Well, no, you could just leave it turning and hide it behind the access panel. Now, it does make your box less useful because you're top cupboard.
That's it, and it's just like I'm trying to get the best of both worlds. I'm trying to get real mechanically noises. I'm trying to get. I got it. Hide Jamie behind a curtain, behind the cabinet. Each time someone deposits a box, he bangs a hammer and shakes some sheet metal. There you go. Haskahara's got it. We just got Jamie noises. I mean, and this is the thing. I want this cabinet to kind of do everything. I know I'm aware. I want it to do everything. I want it to sound amazing. I want it to have the option of having someone behind the scenes, loading boxes in and out behind a false wall, so we get that full gamification thing. I want CIG to be able to store merch in this cupboard and have it somewhere in the studio, so that people coming to studio tours are wowed because their merch comes out of it. You know, all of this stuff I think it can do, and yeah, the real mechanically noises is more just is more of an icing on the cake thing. And the other thing I want it for, I want it to give us time. That's what I really want these mechanical noises to do, because let's go for an example here of we're at an event. 300 people are going to use this box. The only way to make this work realistically is another human being. So you be the person using it, going around that side, right?
Okay, I shall go and use
Yeah.
it. Yes.
So this is how I envisage this, kind of
So I'm
working.
coming here, I'm finishing my mission,
You finish your mission, right? So
I'm
you've
depositing my box.
you've clicked your button, you've deposited your box.
Yep, box is in.
Box is in.
I'm wondering why is the door not closing?
Well,
I'm
yeah, well-
frantically pressing on the button here.
Well, that's fine. Well, no, you've put the box in. It's registered the RFID. It
Uh-huh.
now knows it. It's flashed the red lights at you to go, and the message will come and say, stand clear.
Yes.
And then the door will close. Shwoomph, the door's now closed. I, as the sort of event person here, a little green light will appear for me. I now know that the door is closed on the other side. I will open the back of the cupboard out, and I will grab the box out. I'll just have a huge backstage area here. That's fine. So now there's no box in it. So now we're ready for either a new person to come on a mission holding a box, or someone to come and request a box.
Now
Okay?
you've got an interlock here too. There's no way that door can open.
Yeah, so it's either a mechanical interlock or a light interlock. So
There
like
has to be something.
Yeah, it could well be a mechanical thing. There's certainly a way of it knows that this back door is open, so that front door can definitely not open when this back door is open.
Yeah.
It's just whether you need a mechanical interlock for your stage operator, because we assume stage operators know what the fuck they're doing. So that's fine. So there'll have to be a screen on the inside somewhere, probably just on the back door, that says, right, you're on a new mission, but you're coming to collect a box. So now go and collect a box.
All right, I shall.
So this is where the sound effects are really going to be important. So you're coming to this to get a box.
Yes.
So you click
entered my
collect. You
details.
click collect box. It'll come
Yeah.
up. Oh, put your mission code in. You
Yeah.
type your mission code in. At that point, I get mission code. Blah blah blah. And it'll tell me what box I need to put in here.
Ah, yes.
Right. So at that point, I need to open the door. Find the box. There might be 20 boxes by here, so I've got to go and find. Right, it's that box. Get that box. I put it in, so I get my box. All right. Oh, it's this box. So I have to place the box in.
Yeah.
It's now sitting on the RFID. So at this point, and James can chime in if I'm talking bullshit here, in theory, I could put any box in here. It's now going to read the RFID chip and go, right, that's that box. That's the mission for that box. So maybe it doesn't actually need to be a specific box. I could put any box in here, and it will read the RFID and make that
No, I
box's
think
mission.
it has to be a specific box. I think you were right there, because one box might have beer, another one might have soft drinks.
Yeah, there might not actually be anything in it, but yes, either way. So
Yeah.
box goes in, it's the right box now, and then I close the door. Now, during that time, I
Yes.
want something happening that sounds like a box is being fetched and mechanically loaded into here. So 30 seconds of chuntering, or really it's an indefinite amount of chuntering. Because really,
until
I close this door, when the door closes and it recognises the door closed, it now goes, oh, the box has arrived. So it's effectively an indefinite amount of mechanically sounding things as I physically put this box in, so that when it's got and then the door opens and the box is there.
Yeah.
So that's what I really want. Because realistically, if we do an event and this is 100, I mean, if this only takes someone coming to pick up a box takes a minute and a half, that's about realistic. There could be 400 or 500 boxes collected and dropped off
Do
at
they
these.
get a receipt with their box? There's no paper.
There's no paper. No, there's nothing in game for that.
The reason I ask is because a typewriter is
a nice noise.
It'd be very easily worked with solenoids, and you could operate the solenoids from the Pi or Arduino. You could make mechanical noises frantically, or
whatever you wanted,
using sort of typewriter mechanics.
Yeah, I'm imagining it's going
multi-purpose for any mechanical noise you want to generate.
See, I imagine it's going to sound deeper than that somehow. I imagine a mechanism that's lifting these boxes around that might be 30, 40 kilos each is going to sound pretty heavy duty.
Speakers and a big bass thing underneath.
Yeah.
You could make the whole bottom a big bass.
Well, that is true. We could just like car stereo the crap out of this and make it sound awesome. Yeah, so we need something. We need some audio infill for an operator to put a box in, because the joy, the sort of like childish joy of this thing is there becomes a queue of people coming to get boxes out this thing and drop boxes off, and it just to work seamlessly, and it's just like a Mary Poppins box where you're just putting more and more boxes in. Someone picks up a box, but it's a different box.
Yeah,
and it's that sort of childish. Oh, I'm actually doing Star Citizen missions here.
I
think
of deal. Actually, a random noise generator. If it was a queue scenario, people would start to tune into. All right, on the third clunk after the ping, the door opens.
Ah, yes, yeah. You want it to sound a little bit randomised, like it's picking from it's going up and down and things slightly differently.
Solenoid work, something that James can program.
See, I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, would this just actually be solenoids and motors? Are we missing a trick here that all we actually need to do is mount, like in this recess here,
half a dozen solenoids
and motors,
making a different noise.
Yeah, even just putting a slightly offset vibrational thing on a motor might actually do it, and then they would fit in this cavity here. What have I done with my buttons? No. My poor man's thing. So we've got this gap here, which would fit big solenoid relays and things, big clunkies and motors. So perhaps that's the solution.
With an eccentric mass on it, whirring away.
Yeah, that'll give the whole thing a bit of a vibration as it's doing.
It would give the whole unit a vibration that might add a bit of
realism to it. I say, because you're going to need massive speakers to do that.
Think of its haptic feedback with your phone.
Yeah.
If you don't close the door properly, you get this haptic feedback where the whole machine rattles.
Well, and the other thing is, if we have a really offset, fucked up one, that does allow us to have that whole really broken machine effect.
With the glitchy door and
with the glitchy door, like, and then the door opens, but the whole thing is really ripping itself apart, so it sounds like mechanically it is broken.
Yes, that could be.
That could be quite good. You can just put everything on at once, and we put them one clockwise, one anti-clockwise. It really shakes the fuck out of the machine. Yeah, okay. I think, does this mean we've got discourse here? Is that... Oh, no!
I mean, it's faux noise. I'm willing to put suggestions in.
But I think we could have some fun with that, to actually get it to rock around a bit. Say, big, clunky things. Yeah, okay.
I'm thinking, like, what's a conveniently really tiny cylinder head with a camshaft and valves that you could be turning with a motor again, that the Pi could work?
James is stroking his beard in a thinking fashion. He always is. He's a very contemplative human being. Yeah. It's what you do when you've got a beard, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, and it's getting long and wiry, too. But no, I actually... I think I kind of agree with the fact that, like, you could just offset a couple of stepper motors and just run with that, I think.
Yeah, and I don't even think there need to be steppers, if I'm honest, for this effect. Just plain
No, I
DC
think
motors
just DC
on and
motors,
off.
yeah.
Because then
Yeah.
all it means for you is, from a programming point of view, is we could have, say, 4 or 5 different sound effects, different motors, different sizes, placed in different places around the place.
Yeah.
Couple of things. So you've probably got 4 or 5 different signal just to turn on and off, and then as Jamie said, it'd be really nice to have that slightly randomized, so every time you go it sounds like it's having to pick it from somewhere else, but it's still the same selection of mechanical noises, just at slightly different numbers of seconds, a bit of overlap on some. I think that sounds amazing. I think that'd be cheap to build, it'll fit in that little gap there. I like that a lot. And then we can just put it on a 6-pin or 6-pin cable, because this is the other interesting thing. I say interesting to me anyway. One of the other great things about that I'm always thinking about when we're building this sort of furniture is the ideal is the setup time for this piece of kit at an event should be 5 minutes. Roll it in its 2 sections. So it's heavy, but this section literally just lifts off, and that's the right. So this is the interesting thing. So the motors are going to have to be in this section here.
Yep.
Maybe one up there. That kind of stuff. There's wheels in these sections.
Yes.
So there's actually the wheels for. You can't see them because they're not actually fitted.
They're not actually there.
So there's. We might be able to see the. We might be able to actually see the holes for them there. So this cavity is actually for. There we go. It's for that. So this here is the top unit. This is the bottom unit. So there's spinny wheels that fit here, so you basically sit the top of the cabinet on the bottom and it hides its own wheels. So that's really cool. So you don't even need a dolly for this. So you literally just I mean, it's heavy as fuck, but 4-man lift at an event, even with stuff in it, is fine. You lift it. Well, let's take this out, because let's just make it. This is heavy enough on its own. But let's just see if we can actually just lift this. So I think
safe to.
Yeah, so that you can sort of see an air gap there. So I mean, it's a 2-man lift is doable. You've got to lift it high enough to get the wheels out, but then you can literally just then sit it on the floor, and then it just wheels around. Easy. And obviously the bottom's already on wheels anyway. So you've got 2 cabinets on wheels. So from a point of view of how this arrives at an event, it arrives in 2 halves, already on wheels. So you literally roll it off your wagon, down on a tail lift, roll it into the building. It's on its own wheels, it's not going to damage the floor or anything. 4 on each. You wheel it into position, 2-3 people, bump on the top. So at that point, all that needs happening is power. That's the other advantage of a stepper motor. It's all going to be on power. Now, I would like just literally a female IEC socket at the bottom. Put an IEC cable in it. So that's going to be wired up the inside of this cabinet, coming up into this void here. So it wants to come up through a hole somewhere here, so we'll core a hole through. That's something we could actually just do now. And then so there'll be another IEC, male and female, just pop together. And then we're now talking about maybe a 6-pin XLR or something like that to wire together to come through into here. And that's it. That's you set up.
Although, I mean, there is a thought that if you want some proper clunky noises, you might actually need some kind of power supply drivers here. These are going to be 12 to 48 volt DC, probably as much as 10 amps. Where do you want your power supply for them? Does that want to be down here in your 6-pin coming down to
No,
drivers?
I think we'd keep all the power supplies in one place. Keep everything.
Motors are going to need drivers of some kind.
Yeah.
Even
if we've got 2 or 3 cables to attach here, as long as it's all in one place, done.
Fair enough.
And then you've got your door on the back will already be on. This will all be already sealed up. Obviously, this might be an opening door for the theatrics of it, but that's fine. It'll still all be here, and that is literally it. you are wheeling this thing in and plugging it in. It's a 5-minute setup. That's the absolute dream ideal. And obviously, if we are doing the theatrics, we'll be wheeling it up to a false wall with a cutout smaller than this thing. And we'll be sitting it in, and it'll probably be a clamp to hold it tight against the wall. Done.
Something else for your mechanical noise is it's hopefully loud enough to hide the clumsy theatrics when somebody stubs their toe.
Yes, now, we have talked about the fact that these boxes, if we were doing this as an event thing, this is probably going to be polystyrene boxes or extruded polystyrene boxes, or, with plastic coatings on and stuff. They're not going to be super heavy because of insurance and people dropping them and throwing them at people. And I know, blah, blah, blah. Plus, if we want to have like 40 of these at the events, they've got to be relatively cheap to make. And you've got to assume that people are going to steal them. Because we've given them to people. Yes. So these are going to get nicked. I mean, it's going to be fairly obvious if they're carrying one out. I suppose you can't exactly hide it in your jumper. But there's also going to be
geo-tracked, of course.
Oh, I don't know, James. Are we geo-tracking these things? I think this is sounding all very expensive all of a sudden.
I mean, surely we're geo-tracking these boxes.
We could, but yeah.
No, James. The answer is no. Stop being silly, Jamie. Stop doing feature creep. Help me out here, dude.
Come on, a little.
If we had the equipment, honestly, for the mini game aspect of it, if we had the equipment, I'd love to set up the NFC readers, the high-powered NFC readers with the Bluetooth, and you can do indoor tracking, so you'd get a live map of where each one was.
Which one?
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Okay, that would be kind of cool, but how about this? Using our current RFID technology, if we had a much more powerful transmitter, receiver, can we pick these things up over a larger distance?
So if I remember correctly, or if I know correctly, it's not so much like a geolocation thing of picking it up high power. It's more, think of like walking out of the store with a dress that you didn't put the tag off. It's an off or on thing. I don't think it would track.
No, absolutely. But what I'm thinking is what you could have is basically security posts. You know what you have as you come into the landing zones? So if you carry a box through one of those security scanners, it would go off.
Oh, you could. Right. Absolutely. Okay. If you wanted to be really cheap in 1980s about it.
Well, no, but they are in game.
You could put one of those little wire loops stuck on the bottom.
Well, that's effectively what these RFID things are. That's all they. But that security thing is in game because one of the missions could be, for example, this is contraband. You're picking up contraband, and you've got to get it through a security post.
Yeah, okay.
So that becomes a multiple thing, because then you start to get in the team play aspect of it. So to get through that security post, one of your friends has to hack a terminal at this part of the event to temporarily shut off the security sensors so that your mate can get the box through.
I think if you're only talking about 40 boxes, geotrack is so cheap nowadays.
I'm not saying that wouldn't be a cool thing as well, but I'm more thinking the geo-tracking is nice, but what does it add to the gamification? Other than we can see where the boxes are, what does it actually add to the people running around with them?
Well, it depends what access you give them. Either they see where other players are, you allow them to. When you can
see hey, this is almost delivered.
It adds so much value.
I guess we don't have that thing. We don't have that ability. I suppose if you're doing it as like a group mission-y type thing, I suppose that would be quite cool.
Because otherwise, you're just talking about keeping library books in the library.
Well, trust me, Jamie. I've done so many box missions in CIG at the moment. That's basically all I do in Star Citizen is just do box missions. I do feel I haven't really achieved much in the game, just taking a box from one place to another. But it's just like that's all I'll be doing at the event. There, it's like, why have I come all the way here to just move a box from one side of this building to another? It's just like this is like Star Citizen in real life. It's fantastic. Where's my credits? That would. Oh, yeah. Okay, no, I don't think we would be able to do that without CIG helping us. Well, obviously without CIG helping us, but wouldn't it be really quite cool if you actually earned Alpha UEC by doing these missions at an event?
Yes.
But I've no idea how that would even work. We'd need like API help from them to do that, because we have no way of accrediting other. Well, no, we do, don't we? We can gift money. With the in-game app, we can send money to people. Can we do that in Spectrum yet, or is it just in-game? Let's have a look at this. This is yes, this sort of hacking chip. See, this is what we should totally build these. Everyone click on the link.
So talk me through that.
I don't know. So this is a hacking chip work in progress. So this is one of the other gameplay loops. So that's all right. I'm going to do this so we can actually have a look at the screen. It's just in game, because I know they wanted to have it in Spectrum. So I'm going to just check where I'm screening in up a bit. This is, sorry, excuse this immensely janky technology of doing this. So these are hacking chips. So one of the other gameplay loops is being able to hack into physical terminals and stuff and like take down a satellite or something like that, for example. And these are the hacking chips you need to get that actually do that. But they're another cool thing that we can 3D print and, actually make another great gamification thing at an event, because we can have the terminals that you need to go and hack. And there can be like down a back corridor of Manchester Central. Do you know what I mean? We can actually hide the terminals to make them more cool to find and then hack into them.
RFIDs to prove that they've been there.
Absolutely, and they can actually do stuff and all that kind of stuff. So that would be awesome, and that would be some really cool gamification. And I think we could definitely combine the two, sort of box mission-y type thing and hacking mission-y type thing, do some illicit missions, do some drug trafficking type missions, so you've got to avoid some of the authorities at the event and all that kind of stuff. But, I'd be really up for that kind of thing. But yeah, if it's really...
Who wouldn't be up for gamification, let's be honest?
No, that's it. And I think gamification, certainly at things like CitizenCon, when it's a huge convention about one game, you can really get into the nitty-gritty of trying to like relive some of the game. And do so. And it's just cool. It gives people something to do, because it is a long day, and I'm sure it will end up being more than one day. This is the thing. I definitely think that CitizenCon will end up being a 2-day event, because to make it 2 days rather than one is such a small cost addition for the setup. It's the same equipment there day 1 and day 2. Your staff cost is double. Well, it's not even close to double, because your setup day for CitizenCon is 3-4 days, 2 days breakdown.
How many other games have something even remotely similar as gamification?
Oh, at events?
Yes.
No idea. Has anyone been to BlizzCon? I don't know if they do anything at BlizzCon for this sort of stuff. There's a few bits and pieces that people will do, but this is what us as a company want to have as one of our real specialties, is doing this sort of like reenacting gamification stuff at events. It certainly would work for things like Cyberpunk and other. It works better with like futuristic, tech-heavy type games, because you can have a digital back end to it, which is a lot better to... that's not to say you couldn't do a World of Warcraft type thing. It would just be entirely with actors. Which is fine. And that's something that we had at CitizenCon last time. We had a lot of actors there as well, so you could interact with them. You could definitely mix that in with this sort of thing as well. But I think that... the sci-fi works better for our kind of style of gamification.
And
certainly.
Let's be honest, the tech involved here is not exactly rocket science.
It isn't to him. It's to me. Let me get my wood chewing device. That's about as far as I go. But yeah, but I think that's why JRDF is such a good combo, because we have James and like Stephen the Geek doing this incredible back end stuff, making it look so goddamn easy. And we're at this end, hopefully making this sort of stuff look easy at the end of it as well, because we can go, right, no problem, we can build that. And that's one of the things I'm so stoked about this new workshop for, because the scale of stuff we can make has just gone up by 10. Yes. Everything you've ever seen us build, we can make it 10 times the size now. Literally 10 times the size. Our limiting factors here. Do you know the craziest limiting factor we usually have is that door there. Right? Because most stuff we build has to go upstairs at some point, so it has to fit through that door. So it's like, how stupid is that? So everything, the Kraken, the Raven, everything has been broken down into pieces that fit through that door. And it's just like, so chainsaw. And it's that whole, now we get the only limiting factor for the size of pieces we have is a HGV.
Is an HGV.
Yeah, 8 foot
And even
wide.
then you get permits.
No, okay, let me refresh that. It is a HGV, and unfortunately it's not even a British HGV, it's a European, 4 meters high, because it's got to go over on the ferry or the tunnel. So it's got to be normal width, to 2,500 mil wide, 4 meters total height, and 16.5 meters nose to tail. That's the European limits for going on Le Shuttle and the ships. So that is our limiting factor. And we can park one of those in the new workshop, so we can actually roll it in. So that's it. And then if we're talking US, either we've got a long period of time and it goes again in a shipping container, normal shipping container, because the US don't have tall ones, and their road height limit's so low as well. They're like 4 meters, I think, or 13.5 foot or something.
High top containers.
No, I don't think so. I don't. Well, we've never. I might be wrong here. We struggle to find a skeleton that you can put a high cube on and take to Europe. And I think it's the same. They've got the same height limit. We have ludicrously high trucks in the UK because we're 16.5 foot height limit. Which is certainly higher, a lot higher than anywhere in Europe. Thanks, Flan. Flan is a big rig driver, so that's helpful. 13.5 feet. So they're 3 feet lower than us. Yeah.
My God.
I know. It's really limited. I mean, they are much longer. What's your standard trailer length?
Is it 54 over there?
And their actual rigs are like ludicrously long. They're like actual tractors of the size of our rigids, you know? 53 is standard. So they're longer than ours, but ours are much taller. Because when you think the number of double-decked ones that we have for on the road.
I suppose we could only, if we were in the States, everything would have to run in step frame trailers, wouldn't it?
But I don't know anything about American logistics, but so
no idea they were so restrictive. You think everything in America
it's supposed to be bigger, It's just they're longer. But you can answer this while you're here, Flan. What's the width of your trailers? Is it still 8 foot?
It's 8 foot
4.
6. Well, what's 2.5 meters?
8 foot 4, isn't it? Roughly.
8 foot 6.
Because it's like I assume it's the same as a shipping container. So I think shipping container is 2.5 meters. So for Europe, certainly, because we obviously take stuff over usually on the tunnel or from Hull on the P&O ferries across to Rotterdam, shipping container. There you go. So we have to go with the restrictions of that, and we drive through France, Belgium, and into Germany. So I think Norway and stuff have even lower restrictions. Got some really low tunnels up there, but
they can run much heavier weights.
Yes, probably. I mean, again, we're limited weight-wise for going on the tunnel. Because they have a limit on the weight. Weight's never really a problem for events.
We're not going over 44 tons, are we?
I mean, so place I used to work for before, we bought a trailer that was an ex-Caterpillar trailer. They used to fire around the engines for Caterpillar dump trucks in.
Oh, yeah.
And we bought that because it was a step frame trailer with the really low profile tires on the back, but it meant that it was European standard, so it was only 4 meters, but we could get 3 meter things inside it because a load of the wall sections we just built were 10-foot wall sections. So we needed 3.1 realistically through the curtains on the side to get these frames in. So we got this specific trailer for doing these jobs with, and that was really hard to find. 4 meter high trailer that you could fit an over 3 meter thing in, and obviously only on the back step. But that tonnage weight was like up to 45 ton, I think, in it, because it had been spec'd for all these bloody engine blocks for these massive dump trucks. But it was great because it had the shackles like that on the floor for chaining these fucking things down to. So it was a solid wood floor on it as well, which was really nice.
Are we going to start making things in metal too?
Well, so
is
this
it all going to be birch pliers?
Well, no, I mean
it's CNC plasma cutter and big benders and welders.
Oh, he's kindly listening. We'll find out in a minute, won't we? So I've got quite a lot of metalworking tools, and they're all in a room over there, and I have to literally unbury them from things every time I want to use them, so I never do. But yes, they're all going. My welders and stuff are under here, so we will go back to doing more metalworky things, I think. Plasma cutter, I don't want a plasma cutter in the shop, I don't think. I would probably put it in a little 20-foot container out back. In general, having a spray booth, wood cutting, and a plasma cutter is like just a fire risk. It just like I think my insurance company would just go,
Google thermobaric.
yeah, it's like you're making thermite, like literally with machines. So I think we should do a project to build a plasma cutter. Because you've got a plasma cutter, haven't you? Like a handheld.
And you think mechanising it would be the way forward?
Well, what torch have you got on it? It's not a straight torch. We could get a straight torch for it, couldn't we?
Yeah, torches are so interchangeable.
Yeah, so what I would say we get is a straight torch and build a CNC to put it on. Because like this CNC over here is a wood CNC. So
what's the difference?
So the main difference, if you want to hold this camera here, be my cameraman.
Yes.
Excellent, thank you very much. So this is a wood CNC. It is router here. We should probably just move the cupboard.
Where are you? Right.
I'm here. Go up. Hello. There we go.
Hands.
So this is the router. This is a 7 kilowatt water cooled router, and it weighs a lot. I think this router weighs about 35 kilos.
It is heavy.
Heavy as fuck. So the biggest problem a wood CNC has is that this bridge, now that is 20 mil gauge steel box section.
Yes.
So this bridge, what's called the bridge, so these up posts are solid metal.
Yes.
That is 3.5-inch steel solid.
Yes.
That is a 20 mil gauge box. So this whole bridge weighs 300 kilos, just over 300 kilos.
More than a quarter of a ton.
Yeah. Now, the reason why it is so ludicrous is that this is really heavy, and when it's going through wood, it's got a lot of torque resistance on it. It's trying to be twisted this way because it's being forced through wood quite fast. So this whole section, this is 25 thick aluminium plate here.
Yeah.
So all of this is designed to stop the twist. So it's all heavy, and it mustn't sag in the middle even by 1/10 of a mil.
Yes.
To stop it, everything it cuts being a bowl. So this has to be so heavy duty because of the weight of this and the torque it can produce. Now
and the rigidity of it too.
Yeah.
To get any accuracy.
No, that's it. This is accurate to 5 micron, I think. So this is ridiculously accurate. It runs like it has a stepper motor either side that puts it up and down. So that's fine. So this is why these are so expensive, because it's all about the infrastructure of getting this to be perfectly accurate all the time.
And what's the travel? What's the plunge on that router as well?
So we had this specially built. You don't see many like this. Well, we had this custom built. So the height of this Z-axis, it's got 450 mil travel on it.
Wow.
Which is very uncommon, because usually you would just have. Well, the one we cut the Raven on had 175 mil travel.
Yeah.
Because it's designed to cut sheet wood.
Yeah.
This is designed to carve massive things with really long bits in it. Yeah. So that we had this bridge raised massively so that we could have to do big carving jobs. If I was having when I have the next one built, I want to go another 300.
Really?
Yes, definitely.
You could literally carve topographical maps of...
It's kind of the point. So the problem is that you have to double the depth you want to do. Because the bit you have to have, if you want to be able to plunge down 300, you need 600 travel.
Yes.
Because you need to get the 300 mil bit out of the way.
And the router not to crash into what you've just carved.
Yes, and we're not talking wood really at this point.
No.
We're talking foam.
Polystyrene
yes,
foams.
Extruded polystyrene foam, big carves to coat with stuff.
Yeah.
But I would very much like another foot on top of this. Easily another foot on top of this.
And that's not being greedy. No,
I don't think so. To put it in context, it would add another couple of £1,000 to the machine, but I think that's well worth it.
Yeah.
For that sort of. The other thing I really want on this is a 4th axis strapped on the side of it.
So what would that do?
So that would basically give us a massive chuck. You can get up to a 700 mil chuck on these,
Yes.
which is that.
Uh-huh.
And it means that we could put a big bit of wood stock on it and cut around it.
Yes.
So things like doing the Raven, for example, its main body could have been done all in one go because we can rotate around it and cut all sides of it. So things like that would make those sort of things so much faster to make.
You could literally carve a chain.
Yes. And it would fit literally a tree on it. I mean, 700 mil is a tree. So you could put a whole 3-ton tree on it and just carve it into something. You know,
now,
so
we've deviated very slightly.
Yeah, so
what's the difference between this and a plasma cutter?
So basically, the only difference is that a plasma cutter is very light because it's only the torch that it's moving, and because it doesn't touch the metal, it's just obviously just to contact it to make the arc, but it's just spitting out an electric arc.
Exactly.
So it's not imparting any torque to the material. So as a result, the bridge can just be extruded aluminium box, and it's so light. So all of this lunatic metal isn't required. You can literally get you can just buy off the shelf extruded metal box section, and we could just build it on stream.
We could, or could you make it a multi-purpose machine? That if it was a heavy built machine, a repurposed CNC router.
So the other big difference between a plasma cutter and a wood router is the bed. So the bed on this is basically a solid bed. It's got wood on the top of it, and this is what's called the sacrificial sheet. So you can see when you're cutting stuff, you cut into this sacrificial sheet of wood, and you replace this every couple of months when you've knackered it. And then every so often you'll take I've got a huge bit that you literally skim over the whole bed just to re-level it. And you have to do that probably if you're doing a big job, every 50 tool pass you do, you would re-level it.
And with a plasma cutter, how do their beds differ?
Their beds are basically knife blade metal that stand upright, and then it's everything's submerged in water as well. So it's a trough with blades on it, and you just plop the metal down. You don't have to hold the metal down. Again, no torque. It's like a laser. No torque. You don't have to. The metal is heavy enough not to move.
And would there be a difference in the surface area?
Oh, for the size of it.
For example, what's the travel on this, and what travel would you make on your plasma?
See, that's an interesting question. I don't know. I mean, I know what this is. This is a 2500 by 1350, I think. So it's an 8x4 sheet plus a bit extra, which is kind of perfect for what we do. The old one I used to use at Centurion was bigger. You could get a 3 meter by 3 meter by 2 meter sheet on it, which is a standard size for plastics and Foamex and things. So we were doing a lot more sign making and stuff, so it made sense.
Sheets of metal aren't vastly different sizes.
No, and to be honest, it's like, again, making a wood router bigger adds so much more cost because your bridge gets sillier and sillier. Whereas on a metal router, I would literally make a plasma as big as the space we had.
Now, you just had a slip in what was probably a Freudian slip there, but you did say metal router.
Yes.
Does such a thing exist?
Yes, I mean, you can actually mill aluminium on this. This router is strong enough to mill aluminium, but again, you would need a coolant feed bed to put it on. I have been tempted quite a few times to basically make a trough that sits on this that has a coolant side, because it's actually piped for coolant. It does actually. This is the water coolant for thing, but there is actually a coolant pipe that runs in this thing. So you could actually have a squirty coolant, but it's a case of you don't want coolant squirting on all this wood that's attached to it.
I suggest that when you do order the next machine, we have a go at some brass or aluminium on this one.
Why might I order a new machine? Just in case we're wrecking this one.
When you get your extra 600 millimeters of Z-axis.
I think this one. I said I'd quite like to go at aluminium. To be honest, you could sit there with a can of. You could just cover this bed in plastic and then just use a can of coolant to just to try it. Be fine. Despite
the weight and the bridge in this, I think a lot of people don't actually appreciate the accuracy. You could actually make PCBs on this, for example.
I've made PCBs on this.
PCBs on this.
For the PCBs that go into the shipping boxes are milled on this.
Have you got a sample handy just to show?
I don't know, actually. I think they might all be up in the lab. But no, what I could show you is the bits you can put in this thing. It's probably a more.
Dremel, aren't they?
So that is a. This is terrible photography here. Let's put them on there. So they are 16mm carbides. So they are. I can actually get a 20mm into this. That's my big scrimming one.
Those carbide bits are bloody heavy.
They are really heavy, and they are they're about 200 quid each, just to give you an idea. But they will last me years. You can just keep resharpening them. They're fantastic. So this is the bit that I use for doing PCBs. So you can see its tiny little tip there. So that is these all fit in this machine. And it's quite capable of doing whatever. It's a nice it's got some good capability, this actually. Things I would like it to have, if I could more axes obviously would be nice. If I could have my dream machine, I might have an ATC on it. Ooh, hot chocolate, I think.
Isn't she good to you?
She is very good to me. Oh, that is hot chocolate. Oh god, that's good. I'd like an ATC, which is a automatic tool changer. Jamie chips over every single cable in the workshop.
I was trying to be so dainty and yeah.
Like a barrelina. Yeah, I'd like an ATC, which is a
automatic tool changer.
Yeah, which is quite nice. You can just go and grab new tools, and you could, because I mean, most tool paths I'll probably use 3 or 4 different tools on it.
So we started to talk about the new workshop earlier. We're talking about putting machines in it.
Yeah.
Tool changers.
I wouldn't buy a tool changer, unfortunately. No, they're about $6,000, but
yeah.
They're not worth it.
Milling machine.
Oh well.
Big radial arm drill. Where do you draw the line? Big lathe.
Where do you draw the line? I don't know.
What toys would you like?
What toys would I like? Oh, pussycat. What toys would I like? Well, money, no object toys. 5-axis CNC would be nice. I would definitely have a 5-axis. I would have. Sorry, I can't cope with being on 3 cameras simultaneously. That breaks my brain. It's like I don't know which way to look. Yeah, I'd like a 5-axis CNC. That would be nice. That's stupid money. Realistically, I really want to get more into this. So, I have one of these which I bought second, which Callie found for me brilliantly on eBay. So this neglected pile of crap here is my my table saw is underneath all that. As you can see, it's a bit of a dumping ground. But underneath this is a nice old table saw that needs a bit of love. It is, however, heavy, and there really isn't room to use it in here. I have to sort of drag it out into the middle of the room, and it's not really big enough to run sheets through it. So what I really want to do is actually build a big table around it so I can push proper sheets through it and actually turn it into a bit of a panel saw. So that's going to be happening. Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Making a
more cable mismanagement.
Wireless cameras in this place. But yeah, it would be nice to have. Yes, there's cats everywhere now. Melons come down as well. Yeah, well, in this Gary, you'll sort of see them just running. That's one thing the workshop's not going to have. It's not going to have a pet.
It won't have a pet.
No.
What's that going to do for productivity? Does that mean
increasing the productivity? You play with cats quite a lot when you're here to help me. We did actually. If I don't think Rye's still in here. I haven't seen him say anything well. So we did accidentally wrap up one of the cats, if you remember.
Yes.
Right. This is no joke. This is not an exaggeration. We were tired as fuck at this point. This was well into the 30th hour of our day, easily. This cat here that's just wandering out, He nearly ended up at Manchester CitizenCon because he got inside one of the bases for the. He got inside one of the bases for the Pisces blueprint screens completely silently. Completely silently got inside and didn't make a fucking sound as we wrapped it in sort of like cloths and pallet wrap and everything to take it to the event. And only, about an hour later, we heard a meow.
That's right.
Meow. And then we realised he was inside this fucking thing. And he'd just gone to sleep inside it. But we'd rolled it over and done all sorts.
Yeah.
So we had to cut him out of it. It's like, oh my God, we could do without this. We were in stitches, weren't we?
I'm still not entirely sure about productivity without cats, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
There's a danger of just literally going mad.
Yeah, stay for the tool porn talk. Absolutely. What other tools would I want? So I want to become a better carpenter. Obviously, I've got a CNC, which is a bit of a cheat, but it's obviously you need a CNC to do kind of futuristic builds and all this kind of stuff, and spaceships and stuff. But I would like to be a better carpenter, so I'd like a thickness planer. Definitely be on my list of woodworking tools. That'd be my next one, I think.
What other substrates would you work with apart from wood, and how would that shape your tool buying?
I want to get into more of the heavy foams for doing bigger builds. So, like, for example, let's say we did a full-size... That's cat's breaking everything. If we did a full-size spaceship, like a Hornet or something... if we did... Stop pointing cameras!
The viewers don't want to see the floor.
Okay.
You can watch them drink.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. I don't have a problem with that.
Say you were doing a full-size Hornet or something, right? You could build the front nose of it and the cockpit out of timber, so that you could climb up a ladder and get in it and all the rest of it. But then you could build the rest out of foam.
Yeah.
And you'd have the event, you'd have like a cordon, the guy, sort of like ground control guy, sort of helping you into the cockpit and stuff and making sure no one jumped on the polystyrene bit.
Yeah.
Now, it would be seamless in that it would all be sort of plastic coated, like with resin coated polystyrene, all painted the same, but it wouldn't have the same sort of like beat up ability about it.
So what kind of tools would you need to do with that?
Bigger CNCs, basically. No, it's just bigger CNCs. You would just mill the stuff with big tools.
Big blocks like an igloo.
Yeah. So you would glue it together into as bigger pieces as possible for you to mill.
And what about
this is one of the other
glass or composites?
No, I've done a few of that in the theatre. I built a grease car once. What was it a kit for? It wasn't actually a kit for an American car, believe it or not. It was a kit for a Morris Minor bonnet on something else. But it kind of looked like a sort of like 50s American or 60s American car, but slightly smaller because it was for small theatres and stuff. But we made that a fiberglass bonnet for it, or hood for the Americans, 2.5 inches thick, so that you could dance on it. Because it was obviously for the stage show grease. So they would jump up onto the bonnet and do like a dance number on it. So it had to be strong enough to actually act as a dance floor.
Does she want out?
No, he's just investigating.
A very inquisitive cat.
Yeah, he's not usually allowed down here. So that's the only time I've really done fiberglassing. I say that was ludicrous. The bonnet was so heavy, but I say it was so that 3 people I think were dancing on it at one point. So it was like you had to be stupid strong, and it toured for like 3 years. So it needed to be good, but. There's nothing I'd want to do with that for events. I don't think, not really. Maybe if we're doing outside installations, that kind of stuff would be nice. But again, what I really want to have a go at, and I want to try and do it as a bit of an experiment, a bit of a holy grail we're trying to find is being able to carve bigger stuff and then hybridizing it with the 3D print stuff. So things like the Kraken, things like a big 1:100 Idris or something like that. 3D printing the whole thing is a fortune because our printers are nowhere near big enough. We'd have to hire printers in at thousands of pounds. to print sections for us. We could look at getting a big format FDM printer, but I'm not.
FDM.
So that's a sort of plastic spool 3D printer.
Yes.
But Westbrook Drew and Ungi and people have sort of warned me away from that because it's not a particularly nice material to sand and paint and prime and things. It's melty plastic. And, I don't think it's a good analog for what we do. I don't think it would actually hybridize like I'd want it to, annoyingly. Can I sleep in here?
Any of the cameras catching the cat?
Yeah, absolutely.
You need to tell everybody their names.
Oh, so that's Merlin. So he's the one that got run over a month or so ago. As you can see, he's looking a lot better now. He entirely lost his hip. It was just smashed to pieces. But amazingly, cats are indestructible, so he seems quite fine now. He limps about a bit. And that's Guinness. That's my big cat. Yeah, because he's black and white. Large scale extrusion printers are only £125,000 US.
What's to stop you just putting a glue gun on the end of your router?
Nothing.
And just having some really coarse prints.
It would be faster to mill it.
Yeah.
A lot faster.
What about printing on, like people wrap things now, those big acrylic printers, what do you call them? When you're like wrapping cars, wrapping lorries, you can just print on a big wrap that you put around the vehicle, heat up.
Cats are just playing with each other. You still need to create a foam like something first, I guess. To me, it's like what I would like to do. So we carve stuff out of wood and then we body filler it and get it nice and smooth, right? And the wood is a lot more porous than the body filler. Obviously, body filler is designed for cars. We're using a sort of a similar paint when we paint it. I would actually quite like to have a surface of filler.
Yeah.
And I think I might be able to do that. So if we carve a shape, say we were doing the Raven, for example, we would sort of carve a big bit of the Raven on there, and we would mill it about 2 or 3 millimeters under where it should be. So like take more material away than we should have done.
Yep.
And we just do that in the software. That's fine. Basically putting a negative offset on it. We would then get body filler, water it down with, because body filler is basically just chalk and fiberglass resin, right? So if you actually mix fiberglass resin into car body filler, it becomes very thin. You can thin it down to whatever you like.
Okay.
And just paint it on, just lather it onto the wood. Let it absorb in, give it another go, so you're trying to put 4 or 5 mil of body filler on the whole surface of this thing, watered down body filler, and then let that harden off, and then mill it again. And actually mill the body filler as your final pass, because there's no fiber in it, there's no grain in it. You'd actually get like a car body finish to that surface, but have wood underneath. And I want to see whether that's doable.
Yeah.
Because that would save us a huge amount of time sanding and filling the wood, because it would already be solid filler effectively.
Now, your successors in 100 years or 200 years from now, are they going to be allowed to be carving wood? What are they going to be using?
I don't know. I don't care.
You don't care?
I don't live forever like you, Jamie. I'm not concerning myself with. I have no offspring of my own, so I don't need to worry about this. It's not my problem. Not my problem. So yeah, other toys I'd like to include people like James and Stephen the Geek more in projects. I want to get them more technologically cool. I kind of want James to develop me a piece of software that allows me to program stepper motors with pies, being an idiot, and just have like Tomy My First stepper motor controller software, which I'm sure he'll be capable of working us towards.
Is there not something out there off the shelf for doing that?
I don't know, but I prefer James to do it, because then I know it'll be right. no, it'll work for us. And yeah, and there's a lot of mechanically complicated things, because didn't we look at, James, at how many like GPIO outputs you can have on a Pi? Isn't it something ludicrous?
So like as far as active stuff goes, I can't remember it's like maybe 7 or 8, because not all of those outputs, you mean for like off on, right, connections?
Well, if we were doing a if we say built a, I know we've talked about a project about this. I'm not going to name the project because it's a bit secret at the moment, because I don't know if we're doing it or not. But we looked at something that would perhaps have 30 stepper motors in it. It's like, what would we need? What kind of thing would we need to be able to control? Because this was the thing. We were looking at this particular project and going, well, we can't use a CNC controller. You don't get 30-axis CNC controllers.
Yes.
We kind of need to make a controller that can control 30 stepper motors. So it's like, how many Pis does it take to do 30 stepper motors, I guess, is what we need to find out, because it'd be nice to have an expandable platform that we can have an effectively infinite number of stepper motors. But that's obviously quite complicated with a Pi that only has that many pinouts.
I see. James, got an idea? Like, could you control 30 stepper motors from a Pi?
Yeah, so like we could make. I mean, there's going to be a mix of some already made solution versus me coming up with something and kind of meet in the middle somewhere, and we can make some kind of like dashboard control panel where it's got like little pictures of knobs, and you can like turn one to adjust speed or something like that, and just like it should be some clickable GUI that says a bunch of options, or you can just type in numbers, and then once you're happy with how that stuff is, it can make it save the configuration, and then you can basically replay that.
Oh God,
So
that would
you
be
can kind of like
amazing.
dummy program, like
How cool would that be? So us
kind of
idiots
like
could
the
just
on
tweak old-fashioned dials and things to make electronics
Yeah.
with. That'd be
So
amazing.
I've got a question for you, James, as well, and actually for John too, because we did discuss this some time ago on yet another unbuilt project. It's literally, how many axes are people? So we were talking about a control system that was so it involved basically the ability of a human to control as many functions of a machine at one time as possible. So involving hands.
I want you to
knees,
imagine,
elbows.
honestly, all I could imagine was Jamie suspended as this sort of backwards marionette, where his foot up and down and ankle twist and everything were being registered by all these things to drive this ludicrous mechanical monster. But the issue is he's in the monster at the time, and
subject to full body vibration. So you've got
this isn't. I don't think this is a
there.
question. I think we need to build this and strap you in it. You do realise that we have the room to build that project
Yes,
now.
we
I
do,
know,
but-
and it's just like it was. He basically we're so. Jamie's tried to get me interested into this thing called the bomb buggy. Give the history of the bomb buggy before we say what we might do with it.
Right. So I have it's more that I have I don't know if I've got a problem looking for a solution.
You have a problem. That is definitely. I would say you have a problem.
So I've got this completely useless vehicle. Originally it was a EOD, Explosive Ordnance Disposal Vehicle, so EOD vehicle for the British Army in Northern Ireland. And it's a remote-controlled vehicle, four-wheeled vehicle, so just a remote-controlled car.
But full size.
But full size, you can sit on and drive.
Yeah.
And it has no earthly function now. There is no issue in Northern Ireland that this vehicle can even, pardon the pun, remotely address.
Yeah.
So,
and it's fully hydraulic, which is nice. All the motors are hydraulic on it, and it's
hydrostatic. So it's a diesel engine with a swash plate pump, controlling 4 hydraulic motors. So with the right control system, you can have one side going forwards, one side going backwards to do like a tank turn. You can drive all 4 wheels independently at different speeds for whatever reasons. And the original remote control was operated by fibre optic because one of the first things they would do in an EOD operation is close down any radio frequencies so that that a device
Nothing can
be
trigger the bomb.
initiated.
Yeah.
So I've got this absolutely useless vehicle with a fantastic control system.
Yes.
Now the control system is made in I'm going to say the early 90s. It is massive and very, very difficult to reverse engineer. Essentially, I've got a bank of relays that I need to drive using something like a Pi and the wizardry of somebody like James to turn it into something remotely useful. But it is the building blocks of something that's, I'm not going to say useful, but potentially entertaining.
Yeah, I was going to say. So to put other things in context, Jamie likes cool projects, but if they ever like get near to something, a solution that is useful, that's not acceptable. It has to be something that is at best entertaining, at worst just interesting, but it mustn't be useful.
Yeah, exactly. If you stray into the realms of something being useful, it just causes problems.
Yeah, and someone else will have done it.
Somebody else invariably will have done it. So we were looking at making this buggy essentially be the platform for
a mech suit, effectively.
Something that you would control the platform with the lower half of your body for direction, much the way you would use your legs. And the upper part of the machine was literally going to be a pair of oversized hands. And the idea being that you could tear stuff apart with it. Like you could tear apart a car or lift something or...
But have really like dexterous movement, and I was hankering to have two pilots on this. So you'd have one person driving the buggy, and then another person, kind of doing the arms. But you genuinely thought there'd be a way of getting it to be so synced that one person could have all of this articulation, and
it literally begs the question: how many axes are people?
Yeah, yes, well, I think that's something you need to find out. It's like,
how many things can you genuinely do at the same time? So, for example, you can walk and talk and chew gum maybe, but it's very difficult to write two sentences with your hands. You can't write a sentence with your right hand and something different with your left at the same time. But you can clap your hands. So
yeah, and I think
is that two axes?
you could. I don't know. You could teach yourself a lot of muscle memory as well. And I think the more something mimics your actual human movements, the easier it is to do.
Yeah. Have you any thoughts, James, on?
You're literally just describing muscle memory.
High integration.
Well, I mean, I mean, at the end of the day, it's things that it's sensors and controllers that you are moving.
Yeah.
The Pi is the brain that then turns that into whatever the actuator needs to know to mimic that movement. But I mean, it doesn't really. Yeah, This bomb buggy is going to end up at the shop, and we're going to have to turn it into something.
It probably is. Yeah, we maybe have to do a.
Well, we'll definitely do.
Stream maths.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we'll bring it down to the. So, from a point of view of the shop, we're going to get 4G into it as soon as we can, and sort of show you about it once we're in it. And we'll bring a few projects down and just to have a little bit of a look at. It'd be a bit big for the Dalek, wouldn't it? I think it's too big a control system for that because the Dalek needs to all be electric and all that kind of stuff. I get your frustration with it because it's one of those things that it's so cool.
It's got the
potential to be so awesome, and it's just like it's annoying that we can't find I can't think of anything because I'm all about the replicas of stuff, and I can't think of something that I would want to turn it like it would be a good thing to do a movie replica with it or something like that. I can't. There are things that you could turn it into, but it's like it's wasting its potential.
Yes, it's not optimized for being what do you call those mining rovers? The new. I'm saying new. They're not new in Star Citizen.
Oh, the ROCs. Yeah. It's.
I would love to build one of them full size.
Yes, Jamie would. Jamie does actually want to build a Yeah, Jamie would like to build some of the Star Citizen vehicles. I also would like to build some of the Star Citizen vehicles. I obviously would love to build some of the Star Citizen vehicles, but they're also bloody impractical because they're so big. Like, the ROC is massive. Like, I think we worked out at like 20-odd feet wide. I mean, it's just so big. It's unmanageably big. And yeah, like, not unbuildable, but untransportable. So at the end of the day, I want to build. I want to take stuff to events. So whatever it is, it has to get in that shipping container.
It could be a scale model.
It could be, but then so it's interesting. Obviously, I do a lot of scale models now, but I consider the weirdly like half scale and stuff to be awful.
All right.
I don't like a half scale. If it's a model for your desk or something, or a big model, that's impressive. But if it's half scale, somehow you couldn't do it full scale, could you?
Maybe we just need to wait in the right vehicle becoming
yes,
an in-game asset.
I think you are. So interestingly, I think the first vehicle that, even though I'm not a bike rider, but there is a wheeled motorbike in the game.
Ridiculous wheels, doesn't it?
Yes, it's the weird hubless ones.
Yes. Oh yeah, we looked at that. The weird hubs. Nah.
The thing is, this is the interesting thing. We only have to get to go 5 miles an hour because that's as fast as you could drive at an event anyway. You're talking about the sort of speeds to drive onto a stage on it, get off it, and to a round of applause, something coming out. That's all it's going to have to do. It's not going to have to do time trials on it. And it's only ever going to be on a perfectly flat surface.
Yeah, I'm thinking 4-wheel drive Dakar Rally.
Yeah, no,
Daymar.
Yes, so and that's the thing, that those vehicles are. I mean, interestingly, I think a Tonk. So there's a tank in this. That would actually be quite a cool build as a trade stand in itself. It is so big, the whole thing, and actually it is the trade stand. And you go inside it, and there's the PCs to play on the inside. It's so big, but you could have the turret moving, and the gun extends and stuff, and that would be a cool build. And you wouldn't have it moving; it's too big. But I mean, you could build it to crawl, but there'd be no advantage to it.
It would be cool, though.
No, but you couldn't actually move it at an event because you are in your trade stand. I mean, that would be hilarious. It's like, your trade stand squashed my trade stand. Your whole trade stand just drives around Gamescom wrecking people. But the coolest trade... Well, not the coolest trade stand, that's unfair, but a really awesome trade stand that was in the basement of Gamescom in 2019. Going around, it's like you got the World of Tanks, and they have some big foam tanks, and they're a bit shit. And you go around, and we're on this bottom bit, and there was a real tank and an APC and a field gun. And it's like, wow, where did you guys get this? German army, and they were just recruiting there. But it's like, that's cheating. You've got actual serving tanks now. It's like they had the coolest stand.
You can't replicate better than the real thing.
Absolutely. They brought some real toys. But yeah, apparently they recruit a lot. I was talking to them, and it's just like, they recruit a huge number of people at Gamescom because they are after a lot of tech. Yeah. Tech-savvy individuals who want to do a lot of the programming and military stuff. And, and they all think that they are actually military trained because they've played Call of Duty for fuck knows how many hours. So it's like, right.
Let's face it, a lot of the motor skills that modern military forces need.
Oh, absolutely, and I think
probably based more on computers than what they are ever going to.
Absolutely, as long as they can train to be shot at well. I mean, that's and to do more exercise. I guess you could turn the average geek into a soldier. I don't know, but I just find it interesting that they recruit really well at gaming events.
Who makes a better drone pilot? Somebody that genuinely flew a real-life plane, or somebody...
Yeah, so interestingly, they did do a survey on that, and interestingly, it is the computer gamers than pilots. But do you know why? Because that's the interesting thing.
The muscle memory and the neural network.
Well, no, against a trained fighter pilot. Yeah. No, so interestingly, it's because the gamers are not risk-averse. the fighter pilots will pull out of things that would potentially kill them in real life, whereas the gamers have no fear.
Yes, because they never,
Because they're never in any actual danger. And when you're flying a drone, you aren't actually in any actual danger. So the actual gamers were far less risk averse and would take these, do much harder things with the drones than the pilots would, because they'd got so many thousands of hours flying actual planes that could kill themselves. And so it was quite interesting about like what their capabilities were. But anyway, so I think, we'll have to think of something to do with that. We'll drag a few projects in and out to have a look at. I'm sure most of your things will end up there at some point.
In terms of, I could drag some scrap iron along for a bit of a...
show and tell. Yeah. Give it a quick respray in the spray booth while you're there.
Well, I do have an old truck that could do with it.
Yeah.
What about this? What about the Covalex unit? What's next?
Let's just quickly wrap up with this, because it is 10 o'clock now. So we're over by an hour now. I think the hot chocolate was a hint. So where we're at with this now. Next thing is to design the 3 insets for this, so bottom, sides, and then we need to do the light fixture. The lights in the box up there we might want to actually think about wiring up, but I don't think it's going to affect the unit, so I'll probably leave them for the time being. I need to work out where the wires are going to go, but that's fine. And then once we've got those in place, I kind of think this is ready for repaint.
Yeah.
I think we've got
kind of colours. What's going to be different?
Is there
a particular?
Yeah, so it's grey. It's grey and blue. It's in the FDL colours rather than this weird red. So it's going to go grey and blue, and so it'll be interesting. So to respray this will be quite interesting. We'll still do it in here. I'm not going to wait until we're in the shop. We'll get it done. I want it done. So we'll take all the doors off it and everything and spray it and do all the decals and all that kind of stuff. It's not a particularly hard paint job. The hardest bit is the roller door, because it's got a big arrow on it. So we'll have to mask it all in one place and take it apart and then remask each louver and stuff and get it all to look spot on. Needs a bit of a sand.
Roll it round in a circle and...
Not quite. There's a little bit of damage on it that just needs, just because it's been bashed a few times in here.
Pristine, or is it going to emulate some wear?
It's a good question, because I really do like the wear effects we have on the GSS unit now, but in game at the moment, this color scheme is found in Orison and it's spotless. I might do a tiny bit of wear on it. So that means basically under painting all of these corners and stuff in metallic silver, and then just when we've got the top coat, just wear the edges back a little bit. Just not like barely anything, but just a tiny bit of wear on it. Nothing rusts in space. It's fine. There's no. I'm assuming.
It's in an oxygen environment.
Well, yes, no, I know, but we assume that these are made out of non-rusting materials by this point. So it's sort of like
No graffiti.
No graffiti, no. This is going to be... So this is the thing. I want to get it all in the beautiful colours, make it look really, really nice. We'll then James is going to help us... We'll then put the steppers in. So James will be hugely involved in that. I'm going to send him steppers, get him steppers, and he's going to work out how to make stepper motors work. Yay!
Is he smiling?
Yeah, he's smiling. Yeah. Because so the next stage is to get it working again. So we'll get it working, get it looking lovely, take some videos of it, and then break it again by taking all the air out.
Yes.
And putting steps in. So the next trial is to get it to work exactly how it did with the air, and then we make it better. So then we start putting in the safety feature of it slowing down. Yeah. We then start doing the fucked up version, and what I'd be tempted to do then, which will be quite an interesting project, I have to price it up, but is build another one. So I actually build a second Covalex unit, but the fucked up version. So the door, so it's a different paint scheme. It's this red paint scheme, but with a lot of damage on it, heavy damage on it. So I might not do any damage on this one then. So I might keep this pristine, do a heavy damage one with the broken door and all this kind of stuff, and then we can play around with the broken mechanism in it. And the good thing is we can actually do the broken mechanism in the good one to get it running.
Get the programming.
And then by the time we've actually got the second unit built, we just paint it and stuff, and then it's all software. So,
Yes.
and that'd be really nice because it'd be the first time I would have done one of these to build the second one, and kind of put all the gubbins out of the first one into the second one, and actually we then have a pair of them, and then we can do some missions with it.
It's literally a copy and paste. It's going to take you about 3 clicks of a mouse to make the second one.
Oh, and there'll be no clicking of mice. Well, the only difference will be is that I will obviously put these cutouts in and things that any modifications we've made to the first one, I'll make digitally to the second one, so we're not redoing anything. So there'll be 1 or 2 differences. I might try and make it a bit lighter. I might do a bit more weight saving, but it's realistically going to be the same unit. And I kind of want it to be the same unit, so we have a pair of them.
Yeah.
We have the fucked up one and the really high gloss one, and I think that would be
gamification. 2 units.
2 units is so much better than 1 because you can do missions between them, and it's just like, and there's so many color schemes of this in game now that you could have. I think there's at least 4 different colors if you count this one in its good or little bit roughed up state, its really fucked up friend, and then there's a white one, and there's a green one, and there's a blue one. So there's 5 at least different color schemes. So we could make 5 that were all the same but look different in different colors. We're not going to build 5 unless.
Are you taking orders for them? If somebody wants one, put your hand up now. If they ordered one today, when's the delivery date?
Oh well, I don't know. Once we're in the shop, I mean, genuinely, yes, we will build anything for people. But you've got to have deep pockets. There's no lie about that. This sort of thing is a real luxury. But I will say.
But now you've designed it, you built it. Sitting there moulding away, doing nothing.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely. Again, shipping's the issue because they're heavy as fuck. But genuinely, it is a much more useful unit than any of the others we've built, because at least you could have this in your house, and this is the only bit of wasted space because it's got the gubbins in and the electronics and everything. If it's on steppers, nothing's complicated, it's plug and play. But you actually have cupboard space up there, cupboard space down here. This is obviously usable cupboard space. You can just use it to put stuff in, and you've got the cool door. So yeah, this is a very, very plausible. This is a far more plausible piece of furniture to buy, and I think as a one-off seminal piece as a Star Citizen fan, it's pretty fucking awesome. So I think gubbins. Oh right, is that a new word for you? We'll have to add that. We'll have to add that to the list. Do we have to add gubbins?
Oh, surely gubbins is a universal term.
Is that a universal word, James? Do you know gubbins?
No. I've never heard of that before in my life.
Oh, okay, there you go. We've educated them yet again. So gubbins are just all the working bits and the twiddly bits and the bits that move and
internal mechanisms.
You'd call your inner organs your gubbins.
Your entrails.
Yeah,
I think gubbins are more technical. Really, aren't they?
The working innards of something. Yeah. So yes, it would be certainly on a stepper. It would be a far more buyable thing. So yeah, perhaps we shall. We'll get this one working, build another one, and then we'll actually put. We might build one.
Count the man hours in the second one.
Yeah.
So you could price them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that'd be really interesting. But yeah, so that's the plan. So yes, we should probably definitely finish at this point because we are only an hour and 20 over. I did have a sceney thing set up, didn't I, for raiding people? Who we're going to raid?
Yeah, who's still streaming?
Who are we going to raid? I need to. Oh, I'm on the wrong computer to raid. I think I can do it from here. Bear with me, folks. Any last minute questions while I just find out if there's any one to raid. The Astro Pub is on, and he is playing Star Citizen. That'll do for me. Just check he is actually still doing stuff. Keganator in the bottom. Oh, yeah, that would be cool. Version 3, Tier 3. I don't understand. Don't understand. Right, so... Oh, that's not the one I wanted. I don't want this. I want... No, I'm in the wrong...
Tell us about who you're raiding.
Yes, so this is Astropub. You all know who Astropub is. He is actually still... Oh, and he has a sub goal. He's only 3 away from his sub goal. So get in there and sub to the motherfucker. So that's good. Right, I shall set up a raid. Go and say hi to Astro, and we shall see you next time. Thank you so much for joining us once again, James. Thank you for your technical input. Yeah, we shall see you all and on, guys. Have a good night. Tatty bye.
Tatty bye.
So can you sell stuff that's in the...
Hello, welcome everyone from JRDF's stream. My name is Paul Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here. At the Astropub, your space bar at the end of Twitch. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. I'm getting shot at with rockets. What the heck? Oh, hey, I come back and after getting raided, and we've got targets.